Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Rossmoor Community Services District, regular board meeting. Today's Tuesday, November 14th. Can I get a roll call?
Roll call. Director Barkey.
Here.
Director Shade. Here. Director Maynard.
Here.
Director Searles.
Here.
President DeMarco.
Thank you. And tonight, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, Officer Mitch. I didn't get your last name, but we'll call you Officer Mitch.
Perfect. I've been called worse. Thank you. Perfect. Very good. Everybody rise, face the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Okay, presentations. Presentation 1, Orange County Mosquito and Vector Control District. Laura Young, District Manager. Welcome.
Good evening and thank you. I just have a short presentation to give you some information on what our special district does, as well as an update on what's going on this year as we're sort of hopefully winding down in our mosquito season. And I say hopefully because it was cooling and now I saw it's 80 next week. So we are an independent special district. We cover all of Orange County, all 34 cities and unincorporated area, about 3.2 million residents, and we have a board of 35 board members, one from every city, and then one county at large, which would be the Rossmoor area's trustee or representative on our board. I always like to start with what is a vector. I'm sure all of you are well familiar with mosquitoes now in our communities, so that is considered a vector because they can transmit disease. We also are tasked with controlling for red imported fire ants, roof rats, filth flies, and we do conduct surveillance for ticks and fleas within our communities. And so predominantly most of our work in summer especially is dedicated to mosquitoes, but we do have a comprehensive program, and we do education and we have outreach events, we have school presentations, we do presentations just like this, or to communities at large. Sometimes communities want to come together and learn more about mosquitoes, literature, and have really active social media. We are one of the few vector controls in the state that have a full service lab, which means we collect, trap, and then do our pathology and our surveillance and our microbiology testing all in-house. So we can turn around test results for diseases in about 1 day to a couple hours if we had to in emergency situations. And we test mosquitoes, ticks, fleas, rodents, and birds and possums for any pathogens they might have. And then we do our control, which is our field inspectors that are our most prominent folks out in the field. We have someone in every city and community almost every day, and they do the control of all these vectors. And most of it's through source reduction, so most of our work is teaching residents on how to eliminate those sources that are going to be attracting or breeding those vectors. And then it's biological control, and then we can move up to chemical control. And our chemical control a lot of times is the larvicide for mosquitoes, which is applying something to the water source that can't be eliminated to prevent the breeding. And then in events where we have disease or really high abundance, where we think disease may be more active, then we can do adulticide. But adulticide is what you often hear in the news because that's where we get most of our media coverage, but it's probably the rarest thing we do because it takes a lot of resources and it's really hard to control something that's flying in the air. And so if we can control it in the water sources, it's a little bit more, it's more efficient for us. Today I'm really going to focus on a few mosquitoes, and I can tell you have Aedes aegypti because the folks back there just killed a couple while I was standing there uploading my PowerPoint. So you have Aedes in your community. Almost every community in Orange County has confirmed Aedes mosquitoes right now, and those are the black and white striped ones. They're really aggressive day-biting mosquitoes. This is the part where I typically would say that they are nuisance biters. They don't transmit disease here in California. Unfortunately, if you've been reading the news, we had local transmission of dengue both in Pasadena and Long Beach in the last month. So now they do transmit disease in California. Luckily, we haven't found any disease in our mosquitoes here in Orange County, but we have to be cognizant that Long Beach is just a couple miles down the road from us, and so it's not a matter of if now, but when. And so we have to be active and aware of that. We also have our southern house mosquito, which I'm not really going to focus on a lot, but is still prevalent here in our community, and it's a transmitter of West Nile virus. And we've had a pretty moderate to active year of West Nile virus activity. West Nile virus is endemic, which means we have mosquitoes that have West Nile virus every year, and we have people that get West Nile virus every year within our jurisdiction. So most of our control for mosquitoes is done in these large areas that people may not be aware of. So we do a lot of parks, medians, underground storm drains, unserviced or unmaintained swimming pools, gutters, manholes, and flood channels. A lot of our work is done there because nobody else is controlling for mosquitoes there. And then the other aspect is our service requests, where we go out to homes and will help the resident address any mosquito issues they have there. And most of that is done through education because it is really source reduction. They're typically breeding mosquitoes, or one of their neighbors is breeding mosquitoes, and we can help them identify that source. These are areas that mosquitoes breed in, and this slide is not meant to show you every source, but to show you the wide variety of sources. We have 27 different breeds of mosquitoes in the county, and so there are some that really prefer the wetlands and marshes, some prefer the large sources like flood channels and pools, and then some that prefer those small sources, which are the flower pots and the nurseries that have the individual containers. And those are our Aedes mosquitoes. They like those small cryptic sources. So they like the lucky bamboo. I always tell people if you have lucky bamboo or bromeliads, you typically will have Aedes mosquitoes, and it's not such a lucky plant after all. Flower pot sources are also our biggest source, and anything really that can hold just a teaspoon of water can breed these mosquitoes. We often will get calls with people that are frustrated they're cutting into their house and they're biting themselves and their families. Because they are the aggressive biting mosquitoes, they'll bite multiple times, and people tend to have a more severe reaction. And the challenging part with controlling for these mosquitoes is these small sources, and if you just drive through any community, you'll see multiple flower pot sources just in the front yard. And with over 600,000 parcels, it's really hard to get to every home and remind everybody to do this every week. So that's where a large portion of our campaign and our awareness is through education. I wanted to focus on what residents may see in their community as we're going through these mosquito seasons. And one of the things that residents will definitely feel is the increased biting pressure from invasive mosquitoes. If I had to say that the quality of life is the same as it was 5 years, I'd be lying, because even myself, I can't go out into my backyard without putting on repellent and making sure my kids have repellent and everybody's well protected. So there is a reduction in the quality of life. And most people come to California because they like the temperate weather. They like the 73 degrees every year, all year round. Unfortunately, that's an ideal condition for mosquitoes because we never get cold enough that they completely die off. Once we start hitting the low 50s, high 40s at night, we'll see a slowdown and a drastic reduction, but they'll never completely die off. So what residents will see, they'll definitely see if there's any diseases around, they'll see notifications. Typically, we'll do posters and we'll do social media notifications. We'll work with our local community groups to make sure their residents are aware that there's West Nile virus or an increased risk of Aedes-borne disease as well. Same with abundance. If we see a neighborhood is having a high activity of mosquitoes, we'll send out those notifications so that people can just get that reminder to do a little bit more about mosquito control. And then residents are also wondering what we're doing and how we're changing what we do to address Aedes mosquitoes. And one of the things we're looking at is SIT with sterile insect technique. It's not a new technique used. It's been used in agriculture for over 20 years. Los Alamitos Air Force Base has one of the largest sterile insect technique programs, and they do it through the MedFly program. But towards mosquitoes, it's a newer innovation. And so we're looking at how we can use mosquitoes to fight mosquitoes. And sterile insect technique really is sterilizing the male mosquito, but still making them attractive enough so that when they go out in the wild, they can find a little female friend and have a good time. And then when that female has her eggs, those eggs are non-viable, they never hatch out. And therefore, that reduces the population generation over generation. It is pretty costly, so right now we are in a project phase, which is we're doing a very small area, and when I say small, it's about 1/4 of a square mile. So not very big, to see how impactful it is and what its efficacy is, and if it's actually a sustainable program that we can implement in larger areas. And we have to find the science behind it. How many mosquitoes do we have to release? How do we make them still viable in the wild? So there's a lot of little details we have to work out on that. So that is something we're working on. It's going to be a long-term project. It's going to include some funding that we're going to have to look for in the future. The other thing we often get asked is, will the district come out and spray my neighborhood if I have mosquitoes? And we typically don't do any adult mosquito control unless we have disease present. And that's because any adult mosquito control we do is just temporary. It's going to kill the mosquitoes that are already hatched out and flying around. And 2 or 3 days later, you're going to have a whole new breed of mosquitoes coming out. So we typically like to do the source reduction. And there's a cost and benefit when we put pesticides out in the community, and we have to be aware of that. When we do it, it's because we don't want people to get disease. It's not for nuisance abatement only. We do have a lot of resources for residents, and I always remind residents that vector control and mosquito control is a shared responsibility. So we have DIY videos on how people can go around their homes and mosquito-proof their homes. We have fact sheets. We have information on how to make drains more inaccessible to mosquitoes and all that information. And we also have our service requests, which our technician will go out and do a one-on-one assessment of a home as well. So that's available to all residents throughout the county. And then I do want to address rodent management because I always come out a little bit early and drive around the neighborhoods to see what's going on. And one of the big things with rodents this year that we're going to expect is with abundant rain comes abundant vegetation. And so with all the super bloom of vegetation, there's going to be a lot of good places for rodents to harbor or hide. And as it cools down, we may see less mosquitoes, but we're going to see more rodent activity around homes. And that's because they want to be nice and warm too, and they want a nice rent-free home, and your home is going to be heated and rent-free for them. So one of the things we'll start pushing out information is how to rodent-proof your home. And really, rodents are very, they can access pretty much anything that's the size of a quarter or larger, so how to make those access points inaccessible to them and trim back those vegetations to make it less hospitable to them as well. Last thing I want to talk about is flea-borne typhus, because although it is going to get colder, flea-borne typhus is really not that impacted by weather, and we have seen an increase of flea-borne typhus. And flea-borne typhus is obtained from the fleas that are found on wildlife. And when I say wildlife, it's typically possums and feral cats, although we've seen domestic cats. So most people that get flea-borne typhus have contact with feral cats. Usually bring in kittens they find in the wild or feeding cats in a cat colony, and then they'll get the fleas that jump on them and transmit flea-borne typhus. So we have seen an increase in the last 10 years. We've almost seen flea-borne typhus double in our communities, and that's because we've seen a lot more feral cats in our communities as well, and a lot of people feeding feral cats. So something we're aware of, and we're actively developing our program on how to address those issues of this disease transmission. And with flea-borne typhus, again, your residents in your community may see this. They may see signage that says their flea-borne typhus was detected in the area, and then that goes with notifying the city around the area, the community groups in that area, and the residents as well, and talking about how residents can be active in protecting themselves and their family. And this is really preventable. It's don't feed wildlife, including feral cats, and keep your pets on flea-borne medicine year-round. Those are the two very simple sources on eliminating flea-borne typhus in your community. But at the end of the day, I always reiterate that the only way we're going to reduce vectors in our communities is if we work together, and that's you as community leaders helping to spread the message and making sure residents are aware that They need to be active in mosquito control and tipping and tossing any water sources and taking action by wearing repellent or eliminating those containers from their neighborhoods. Making sure their neighbors are held accountable too if they have water sources, and then calling us if they need us to assist them in that, and then being active in preventing any of the other vectors in the community as well. So with that, I like to always keep it short and quick because I figure you guys have questions that may be impacting your communities.
Questions on this side?
Yeah, Ms. Young, thank you so much. What is done with the storm channels? We have a lot of storm channels here.
So our storm channels, especially in the summer months, the flood channels are inspected on a 2-week cycle, and they usually will dip them. So if the storm channel's flowing, then there's no mosquito breeding. But if it's stagnant water, they'll check it. If it is breeding, they apply typically a larvicide to the top of the storm channel. And so that'll prevent any mosquitoes from hatching out from that area. And then they'll re-inspect it every 14 days. So the larvicide they apply is typically a 20 to 30-day residual treatment. And it's actually, those products are rated so that they can go into the waters of the U.S. So we have to work with CEQA and get all those compliances. And we have to report that out to the Department of Ag.
Will there be additional work done to keep the other vectors in control, given the maybe increased foliage that we'll have along those walls as well?
So we work with residents typically on the education portion. With the cities, we have been more active in working with Orange County Public Works on those flood channels that they own to maintain those vegetation in those public areas. So our vector reduction program has become a little bit more robust and being proactive in eliminating those heavy vegetations in those public areas. But the private residents, it's really the residents that need to be active in that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, unfortunately, they're not accessible to the residents on the backside. So you're kind of stuck in the, I can't do any maintenance on the area that has a big sign that says, no trespassing because Public Works controls the backside of these walls.
Yeah, so you can always either call us or Orange County Public Works, and with Orange County Public Works, we typically prioritize what there's so much flood channel mileage that we prioritize what's the biggest threat for mosquitoes, and they work on those and reducing the vegetation there for us.
Perfect. Thank you.
Just a couple of questions. I've often wondered, what's the lifespan of a mosquito?
It depends on the mosquito, but we actually were quite surprised. That's one of the studies we're doing with our SIT program, and we have found mosquitoes that have been living about 3 to 4 months. We typically would say a lifespan was 1 to 2 months in the wild, but our Aedes mosquitoes are proving to be a little bit hardier out in the wild.
Okay. Do they migrate, and how far would they get if they did try to travel?
Our Aedes mosquitoes will typically travel the length of a football field, so not very far,
Okay.
and they typically won't cross major arteries, so big streets, things like that. They stay within their little neighborhoods.
So very localized?
Very
mosquito.
localized, but our wetland mosquitoes can fly up to 15 miles.
Okay. Last one, early on in your presentation, you mentioned how cities have representation, and you mentioned that there is a Rossmoor trustee on our board, or someone that represents the county. Who is our representative?
The representative for Rossmoor is Elizabeth Merchant, who is in the CEO's office of the County of Orange. And that's all unincorporated areas.
Oh, not just Rossmoor, but any unincorporated
Any
area is
unincorporated
Elizabeth.
areas,
Okay.
yes. And then, of course, you guys can always contact us directly, because we're happy to work with you.
Okay. That's all I have.
Oh, great.
Thank you, Laura, for being here. My fellow directors here asked my questions, which was great, the lifespan. Also, what is the gestation period on those?
In summer, the gestation period is 7 days for egg to adult. In winter, it can be up to 2 to 3 weeks because as it cools, their life cycle slows down significantly.
Okay, and just to clarify on the patrol as far as the channels go, it's every 2 weeks, you said?
In summer, it's every 2 weeks. So in summer, we bring on 60 additional staff. Well, they're full-time in the summer. They're our seasonal staff. So we're able to do about 2 weeks. In winter, because the life cycle slows down, we go to about every 30 days. because of the residual on the product as well.
And if somebody, spots something, a neighbor or one of us is walking around or whatever, and we see a potential issue with standing water, is it the contact information to get a hold of somebody to get you out here to check it out and service it, so to speak? Is that just something that's on the website?
Yeah, so we have our main customer service line, or people can put on our website, ocvector.org, you can put in the request online as well if it's after hours and you don't want to wait to contact
Oh,
someone.
that's nice. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
When you do spray, what chemicals do you use?
For adult mosquito spray or the larvicide?
Both?
For our adult mosquito spray, we use Delta Guard, which is a deltamethrin, and we use about 1 ounce per acre. And so typically when we're doing any kind of that treatment, we do a more extensive outreach to the community. We door hanger every household in the community. We'll do paid social media ads, so we make sure we reach out to everybody in the community as best we can.
And how do you sterilize a mosquito?
There's multiple ways. Currently, the only approved method in California is to irradiate it. So we literally have a little radiation machine, and it's the same as if you walk through the airport x-ray machine, but they're a lot smaller, so it's a lot more impactful for them. So we put them on a little, we get them really cold, they fall asleep, we put them in a little disc, we radiate them, and then we take them out, and then they wake up, and then we can release them. But we haven't released any irradiated mosquitoes yet because we're still in the initial phases of our program.
Got it. Thank you.
So we have lots of standing water in our canals. In fact, I'm just driving in the last couple of days, there's like, green algae in some of ours. So with the days being warm, so do you, is there like a notification? So in the summer, you come by at a more frequent time, but now that we're getting into winter, it's one every 30 days. Do you assess all of our canals?
Typically, and when I say 1 to 30 days, it's on average for all flood channels in the county. If there's ones that we have a whole flood channel team that all they do every day, and it's about 2 people full-time year-round, and then they bring on another 5 people during the summer. So those 2 folks assess, and if there's areas that they see are consistently breeding, those they prioritize and visit more often. So if you're interested in specific flood channels, I can always get that information and get that to your manager, your general manager.
So when you find a flood canal or an area that's have larvae in them, is it posted, or how do you? And are we talking about all flood canals in all of Orange County or just unincorporated islands?
No, we inspect all flood channels in all of Orange County. So some of them are dry, some of them are running, some of them have mosquito fish in them, which is our biological control. It just depends on what type of flood channel it is. If it's considered waters of the U.S., we cannot put mosquito fish in it. If it's running consistently 9 months of the year, then we don't visit it every 30 days. We might go every 2 months. But in ones that are like concrete V-ditch sort of flood channels, and we see consistently breeding, we'll visit those more. We don't post them, but we have a database in which we track how often we inspect.
So your team actively inspects all of our flood canals in Rossmoor?
Yes.
Okay.
And if you're not sure, you can always call us, and even our customer service can look up and see if that flood channel is under treatment. If they're not sure, they'll have the flood channel team actually contact you, or they'll contact me or whoever, the customer service, and they'll get back to you with specifics on that area.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for.
I just had a follow-up question to Dr. Barkey's. You mentioned the dilution of chemical was 1 ounce per acre. Is that per water acre or per land acre?
Per land acre.
Okay. Just curious, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Sure.
We have a ditch behind our road, Copa de Oro, and
I couldn't tell you if it's released in that basin, but I can check and confirm for you. We typically would put mosquito fish in any source that does not have a exit point, because mosquito fish are invasive in themselves and can decimate California native fish.
We had some ants in the backyard that scared me, and I was pretty sure it was fire ants. And one of the vector control guys came back, I can't remember his name, but he was great. He said they were the native fire ants, not the imported fire ants. But I had the poison to try to get rid of them, and that was great. But I don't see why you can't educate us on how to have something in our house that will attract and kill them or trap them or something. My poor wife was just,
The mosquitoes?
yeah.
I can tell you especially in the house, and I literally say this as I'm going to go to my sister's house after this because she has mosquitoes in her house. I'm going to try to figure out where they're coming from. A rotating fan put on medium to high will help. They're not strung flyers, so they can't land if there's wind resistance. And I know it's sort of an inconvenience, a little bit annoying, but it'll prevent them from flying and landing on her and getting bit.
Well, we have a fan in the bedroom. She doesn't like it, but I have it on it, and that doesn't fix that.
Yeah.
What about one of those electronic bug zapper things?
No, those are terrible. We got a million around every, once a week.
Still
you
getting
hear
bit.
it zap.
Yeah, I would say give us a call and see if we can find out what around your house is attracting them, because if they're coming in your house, typically it's something close to your door, or you have enough abundance that they're what we call roosting on your door frame. So when they land and lay above the door frame, and when you open the door, they follow you
They're
in.
waiting for us. to
Yeah,
open the door.
yeah.
But we got the ditch back here, so if you could work with them and in the next newsletter, the ultimate thing to have in the house, repellents are no good. We need something that attracts them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there isn't anything indoors that will attract them, but I mean, we can provide all the tips, but for your situation, I would say we could probably help you alleviate some of that mosquito sources. We could try. You're already paying for it in your property taxes. You might as well have us come out.
I think I have,
Yep.
we have a ditch back here. That's where they come from.
Yep.
What's an actual predator for a mosquito?
Bats are, but we don't have the abundance of bats, and bats come with their own problems, like they're a major carrier of rabies and other diseases. And mosquitoes to them are like an appetizer. They rather go after moths that are meatier and more filling for them. But they would be the most closest natural predator that we would have. So.
Real quick.
I think the statement, we used to have mosquitoes in our house. We found that our guest bathroom, the sink got used all the time, but the shower didn't.
Yeah, the drain.
Breathing in the drain and
Yeah.
So now we just put a drop of soap like once a month.
Yeah.
In the drain, they don't breathe in there. But I have a question, those things that cost like $300 to $500 that you put in your yard that say to get all the mosquitoes.
Into care traps.
Do those things work?
They'll only work if all your neighbors do it as well. It works really well for large communities, like I would say Laguna Woods does it, or Leisure World, because they can put it in all the common areas and sort of have a.
Not attracted to blue light. So
No. Mosquitoes are attracted to carbon dioxide and heat, so blue lights don't impact them. Yeah. Electric fly swatters are the best thing to kill them, though.
Thank you very
So,
much.
You're welcome.
For coming and informing the community, and we'll try to connect and get information on our site, our new website, when it's up with your information.
Absolutely. Thank you
Okay.
for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Should we be aware of the symptoms for that typhus and now?
I can send that all, and we can work with the community service district to put it in a newsletter for you guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Let's move on. Next up, California Highway Patrol. You got some guests with you. Come on up and introduce everybody. Welcome to our CSD meeting.
Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Scott Pointer. I'm the Captain Commander of the Westminster CHP Area Office.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mendoza, for the invite and the board for having us here tonight. Appreciate it. May have met a couple of you during some recent events. We had assisted with 2 successful walk-to-school days within I believe it was Rossmoor Elementary and Weaver Elementary, with great turnouts, great events, as well as the Halloween event just outside here, which was also outstanding. So,
Captain, can you talk into
Yes,
the
I can.
mic
I'm
because
sorry.
we're recording?
is that better? Okay.
You can move it up.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
There you go. Thank you.
So just a couple of things to address prior to turning it over to Officer Smith with a quick quarterly update for you. Just wanted to inform you that we have been and will continue to keep deploying marked units within Rossmoor. These specific deployments occur during school time, so drop-off, pickup hours, and they will continue as such as staffing permits. We'll also continue to deploy our radar trailer within various locations within Rossmoor. And just to touch on staffing real quick, because I've been made aware that staffing has come up here several times. We are finally starting to see an uptick in law enforcement nationwide, but specifically with our department. Even so that we have now for the first time ever within our department since 1929, we have 3 academy classes going at one time. That's never happened. So we're seeing some positive things happen. There's a little lag time there as it's a 6.5-month academy and we have to deploy these people throughout California. But just a heads up for that is that there is an uptick to that, and we are aware of your concerns. So additionally, I just wanted to, on a face you may have not seen here yet, Officer Valdovinos in the jacket back there. I've assigned him to take over for Officer Musselman. As of September 1st, just another familiar face that you'll see within Rossmoor. He's a 15-year veteran of the department, an outstanding officer, a long-term, standing resident within Orange County as well. A great guy to have around. So myself, Officer Smith, Officer Valdovinos, just more officers that you'll see here on a more frequent basis, and we'll be happy to I'll turn it over to Officer Smith, but stick around, happy to answer any questions or concerns that you may have. So I'll turn it over to Officer Smith with the quarterly update to include some info on e-bikes, which I'm sure people have questions on.
Thank you, Captain.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Good evening, members of the board, and thank you for continuing us or allowing us to serve your community. I will be speaking with you today regarding third quarter 2023 statistics, which span the dates of July 1st to September 30th. In that time, we responded to approximately 24 calls for service. All but 11 of those calls for service were traffic collisions. Other calls range from traffic hazards to parking violations to a stolen license plate call. In total, 6 traffic collisions were generated during that time period. 2 of these traffic collisions were 2 vehicle versus structure crashes that occurred in July that were addressed at the last meeting. So I'm going to give you a brief synopsis on 4 additional traffic crashes that were generated during this time period. On Wednesday, August 19th, approximately 5:15 p.m., traffic collision involving a solo vehicle versus 2 parked vehicles occurred on the 11,000 block of Wallingsford Road, south of Hedwig. The cause was determined to be an unsafe turn, and no injuries were reported. On Friday, August 25th, approximately 4:37 p.m., a traffic collision involving a solo vehicle versus a light pole occurred on the 3100 block of Arena Drive, east of Druid Lane. The cause was determined to be driving under the influence, and minor injuries were reported to the driver. On Tuesday, September 12th, at approximately 3:34 p.m., traffic collision involving a solo vehicle versus a parked vehicle occurred on the 12,000 block of Foster Road, south of Bostonian Drive. That cause of that collision was determined to be an unsafe turn, and no injuries were reported. On Wednesday, September 27th, approximately 11:15 a.m., a traffic collision involving 2 vehicles occurred on the 11,000 block of Wallingford Lane, south of Catella Avenue. The cause was determined to be unsafe speed, and no injuries were reported. I do want to address a vehicle versus pedestrian traffic collision that was brought to my attention that received a little bit of interest by Mr. Mendoza. On Friday, November 3rd, approximately 5:45 p.m., vehicle versus pedestrian traffic collision occurred on the 3200 block of Hedwig Road, west of Pemberton Road. The cause was determined to be a right-of-way violation. The pedestrian, a 14-year-old, was transported to a local hospital for what were reported as minor injuries. I'd like to switch gears a little bit. The biggest thing I wanted to hit on tonight is we're very, very proud to announce, e-bikes they continue to be a great concern for us at the CHP. We're just like the majority of all law enforcement entities in the state and the county level, city level. We're kind of catching up. We're catching up to laws, to how to enforce these e-bike situations, but we're working on solutions to combat the issue. On September 1st, 2023, in compliance with Assembly Bill 1946, our electric bike online safety training program went live. So the training can be accessed via our CHP public webpage, www.chp.ca.gov, as you see on the board here. When you scroll down via our public page, there is a banner, Electric Bicycle Safety and Training, AB 1946. By clicking on this, it'll take you easily into the training course. And if you can scroll down just a little bit, there's kind of some bullet points there. It includes e-bike definitions, proper e-bike fitment considerations, safety gear, rules of the road, and best practices. At the end, a training certificate is downloaded. What I'd like to see from this is it incorporated into all of our schools. Start at that level, start educating the parents, hey, this is something we can offer to your kids before we send them off on e-bikes. I would be happy to provide with links, anything like that, stand out in front of the school, provide QR codes for the kids to look at, but it's going to be on all of us to make sure these kids are incorporating this before they set off riding these e-bikes around the community. Very good. I'll take any questions if you have any questions.
Yeah, actually, I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for being here, Officer Mitch. I have a question regarding the schools. What schools are you currently working with?
So we've worked with Weaver, Rossmoor Elementary, Hopkinson, all the elementary schools. We've been doing walk to school days on invitation. We've also been working with the community on the community events with Mr. Mendoza.
And the e-bike training, what, are you involved with any of the schools on that, like middle schools?
We have not been yet. It's new. As soon as it came out, all of the links were forwarded to Mr. Mendoza and the district for dissemination just as soon as we could. But it's taken its time. It's getting a lot of traction. We have a lot of good feedback from the training course, and I think you'll find it very comprehensive.
Okay, I love this program. I'll definitely be in touch with you regarding this, setting it up with the local junior highs and the high school.
Very good, very good. Any other traffic safety programs you'd like to present as well, I'd be happy to help with that.
Wonderful, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. We appreciate your services.
Of course, yes, ma'am.
You mentioned one of the collisions was a DUI.
Yes, sir.
Was there an arrest made?
Yes, there was in fact an arrest made in that.
Good, thank you.
The training course, go into that a little bit. Is it an actual course or is it just information you can read?
It's informational online at this point, but we can always remind you that we can put on bike safety rodeos that are geared at this point. They are geared towards traditional bikes, but we're looking at incorporating an e-bike portion of that as well and making that a little bit more comprehensive, including those e-bikes as well. So we've done a couple e-bike events with maybe one. I think it was one with Mr. Mendoza. We are happy to schedule one again. We had a great turnout. We did it right here in the parking lot of Rush Park, and it was awesome. We did it on Saturday morning, especially as we look into spring, get a little warmer weather. It'd be awesome.
Yep. And I was talking to the commander early before the meeting. So can you talk about what's been lately the deployment in Rossmoor with CHP, certainly during school hours, because I know we've gotten a lot of complaints about parental driving during drop-offs and pickups. So
absolutely,
can you just go into that a little bit.
Absolutely. So we do it. It's varied times. We use it based on we don't want anybody to have a kind of an idea when we're going to be there, right? And that's strategically. We use our senior volunteers primarily as a visual presence. They do not offer enforcement, right? But just having that vehicle there and that visual presence makes a huge deal. Like I said, the days are based on staffing. These are volunteers. We do it in conjunction with some uniformed personnel, depending on the day, depending on the availability of personnel for that day. And the same goes with the radar trailer as well. So you're not going to find necessarily a pattern. We typically out Mondays, Thursdays, Wednesdays, just depending on their availability.
So, so in the past, and it was with Officer Musselman, he would come in at, again, various times of any given month and patrol. Are we at the level, and this is probably, I don't know, what year would this be? Maybe, it was probably prior to 2020. So what level does CHP need to get up to kind of see that more? Because we understand, you know, you do traffic, but you're in your area, which includes freeways and stuff like that.
Yes, sir.
And we're just little old Rossmoor here, but how do we get, when can we see more of you guys in our community on a more consistent basis? You know, are we there yet in terms of, because I know you guys lost a lot of people from 2020, 2021. Are we there yet in terms of manpower?
So it's hard to relate that. It's hard to speak of the staffing of the department, and there's no magic level. There's no magic number to when we get to that point. We are taking steps in the right direction. Assigning Officer Valdivinos as our SSP in community-oriented policing spot and having to fill that position is going to, you're going to see an uptick in presence in Rossmoor just in and of that. Officer Musselman was an asset, and we are replacing him, and that we're moving forward from there. So, absolutely.
Also, is your phone number, so we used to be able to call and, let's call, complain about bad road condition, or bad
Absolutely.
road activity. Is that number still available? And I don't even know the number, but I know it was like a 714 number where you could call and say, hey, someone ran the stop sign, and you know, this is the time and the location, and you know, enough people complain about certain things, we would see Musselman in our community, and he would actually follow up on things if you gave him enough detail. Is that mechanism still in place?
Absolutely. You can still, on our public page, you can still submit a traffic complaint, and you can always call the office, and we'll do it via that way as well.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much.
Officer Smith, real quick, how
Yes, sir.
many volunteers do you have? I think we have 5 or 6.
So yes,
roughly?
we're actually up to 8.
Okay, great.
We're up to 8, so we continue to use them as force multipliers. They're essentially at every event with myself, and it really helps out. It's a great way for these people. A lot of them are members of, you know, the community at large, and it's a great way for them to serve and you know, be part of it. So they're very passionate individuals.
Well,
So
thank you for that program, because that has been a supplement for the last year, so thank you.
Yes, sir.
If one would want to be on that volunteer, how would one get on that, or how would one
So
go about?
reaching out to me directly would be great, and then I'll at this point put you in touch with my senior volunteer, my senior volunteer, if that makes sense, and then they'll kind of walk you through the process and answer any questions that you might have.
So how would one get a hold of you? And I'm saying this just because this is going to go on YouTube, and I want people to know how to get a hold of you to be able to do that.
Absolutely. Call me at the office is probably the easiest way to get a hold of me.
What's that number?
CHP Westminster, area code 714-622-3600.
Great. All right.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
It's a free-for-all.
I know.
Yes, ma'am.
Geared towards people who are riding the bikes, correct? Is there a program that can educate parents before they buy a bike for their kids to talk about like the different options, you know, what the pros and cons for different age groups or different? People don't actually figure out what's the best trend for the kids to say.
Absolutely. I think you'll find the training comprehensive. I think it includes bike size, fitment related discussions as well. But as far as something geared towards a preemptive before you buy the bike training, not necessarily. It's more of after you've purchased the bike, but it does give you some suggestions as far as how that bike fits you and some safety concerns.
Do you recommend this training for the rider and also for the parents?
100%, yes, absolutely be beneficial.
Okay,
You need to bite the bullet to get licenses for, it's gonna come to that or that.
yep,
It's just a free-for-all.
yep.
Charge them $100.
All right, let's move on. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming. Talk to you guys soon. All right, next up, additions to the agenda. Any additions? No? Okay, and then next is C, public forum. I have two, I'd like to open up public forum. I got two cards here. First up, Susan Kaplan.
I'd like to talk about the problem with the mitigation at the pickleball courts that you started. Problem is there basically is no mitigation. Noise has been something we've been complaining to you about for 18 months now. And mitigation is completely lacking. What you now have simply doesn't work. You distorted the community's emails that told you that the 12-foot blankets didn't work. And illogically, you removed them and left 8-foot mitigation. You removed all the mitigation on the large gate that faces all the residents on Hedwig. And you left a small amount of mitigation blankets that have not worked in the past and don't work now. And all you've done is leave an eyesore on our park. A doctor would never leave a patient on a medication that doesn't work because the only effect would be the adverse side effects with no therapeutic benefit. And the doctor would find an alternative that does work. Similarly, leaving ugly mitigation that does not work offers no benefit and only offers adverse effects. With this action, you have made a mockery of those affected by the noise of pickleball, including those who came here and bore their soul to you publicly that the noise was causing them medical harm. How cynical can it get? The sound study that you got in 2022 was incomplete in so many ways. And when the community tried to help you to see this, you rebuffed that. The Spendarian and Willis critique that the community paid for and gave you went on, criticized problems with the study that you got. And you ignored it, and instead you went on to make decisions about mitigation that were not founded. Among those decisions was which product was most effective. I don't know if you looked at different products. And another decision you made was where to place the mitigation product. You just seemed to throw up some blankets and hoped it would work with no plan for follow-up modifications. Your chosen expert expected follow-up with more mitigation to be placed as needed over time with analysis. But you never had any plan for that. Instead, when faced with the input that the mitigation was not working, you reduced the mitigation material. You talk about how transparent you are, but that cannot be farther from the truth. In all likelihood, you took down the mitigation, the 12-foot mitigation, to reduce cost. And you left up that which you thought would CYA, make it look like you provided mitigation for the optics. But you don't listen to the fact that it doesn't work. And finally, it allows you to slack, to put no effort in to find a solution.
Is this due diligence? Of course not. Reducing mitigation instead of increasing it has no rationale and is simply a cynical response that's all too familiar. The other topic I want to discuss is the vote that you took last month. Talk about cynical and irresponsible and unprofessional. Last month, 3 of you board members voted to proceed with a $61,000 expenditure on pickleball conversion based on bids you never saw. The general manager refused to produce those bids in time for that October board meeting. Even when 2 board members asked you to pause on the vote until they had bids in hand, you went on to vote. You went to vote to move forward. Being uninformed, the vote was illegitimate and should be rescinded. Why did Mr. Mendoza refuse to provide the bids for review by the board members before the vote? It boggles the mind. What possible justification could there be for withholding that information? How could any board member possibly vote to accept a bid they never saw? I can't envision any responsible municipality voting on a $61,000 expenditure without seeing its line items. Can you imagine Los Alamitos or Seal Beach city councils casting a vote so frivolously without regard for detail? Example, Mr. Mendoza mentioned when the bid's awarded, he might ask them to, quote, float a portion of the court because there's some low spots. Might? If there are low spots that need floating, shouldn't that have been included in the bid that you never saw, that you voted on? How much would it cost? You should have asked. Would there be a work order surcharge to add that on? Would that change the overall cost from one vendor to another? Isn't this a line item that should have been in front of you board members? And that's just one example of the deficient information 3 board members were more than willing to overlook.
Ms. Kaplan, you're at about 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I'm going to go another 2 or so. Despite this board's continued recitation of its transparency, your actions beg the question, what is being hidden from the board and from the community? Most importantly, the bids the general manager sought were incomplete as they didn't include the cost of effective mitigation. In summary, noise mitigation that works is needed first and foremost for your pickleball conversion. We've been telling you that for 18 months. It was intentionally reckless not to include mitigation into the bidding process, and a shameful disregard for due diligence to have voted to accept a bid not one board member had seen. With more than $17,000 spent so far on pickleball, $61,000 now for resurfacing, and blankets that could cost upwards of $20,000, who knows? That's a guess because our general manager hasn't put it out to bid. This puts the project exceeding $100,000. It also unfairly prioritizes a new project over promised capital improvements dating back to 2019 and 2020. Another inconvenient truth this board is only all too willing to sweep under the rug. It's unethical and fiscally irresponsible for this board to move forward with conversion of tennis courts until noise mitigation costs are put out to bid and factored into the overall cost of this project. Until then, and until a new vote can be put before this board, the project must be put on hold.
Thank you. All right, next up, Michelle Fieldson.
Over the last 18 months, I've become very concerned about the decision-making and the manner in which the RCSD operates. While pickleball brought it to the forefront, it's really only a symptom of a larger issue. Here are some facts and data I'd like to bring before the public. For fiscal year 2019 and 2020, the RCSD committed to providing a picnic shade canopy for Rossmoor Park, similar to the two that Rush Park enjoys. In February 2019, a quote for $48,000 was received, $10,000 was subsequently spent for a rendering and specs, and a permit followed. And almost 5 years later, the project is completely stalled. The old permit has expired, and nothing of substance has been accomplished. For fiscal year 2020-2021, the RCSD committed to a new playground structure for Rossmoor Park at approximately $150,000, recognizing that its useful life expectancy was 2022. Not one thing has been done to move this project forward. In January 2022, the canopy and playground were submitted as qualifying new capital improvements under Prop 68 grant guidelines. And 2 years after submission, still no groundbreaking on the horizon. In 2021, the RCSD minutes reveal that, quote, the approach will be for future CIPs to be completely funded by grants or donations. This philosophy was repeated throughout the pickleball discussion as well, with the conversion options stating it would be paid for only if grant money were available. In July of this year, despite Director Shade not being present, Directors Barkey, DeMarco, and Maynard voted to proceed with pickleball conversion. No line item quotes had been obtained. There was no way to know true projected costs, nor did they even identify which of the 3 pickleball options they were approving. This lack of transparency to the community is an ongoing theme. Yet there was a bigger problem. Pickleball was never submitted to the state of California for approval under Prop 68 because the RCSD had already requested and received reimbursement for tennis court resurfacing in 2019. Since there could be no double dipping, Prop 68 funds would not be available to pay for a second tennis court resurfacing as part of the overall pickleball plan. So how would pickleball get paid for? The solution was to abruptly create a line item in the budget allocating $50,000 for capital improvements, earmarked not for capital improvements on the books, but for tennis court resurfacing. Director Searles pushed back about the $50,000, stating, quote, we said that we would address our budget before we allocated the money, and we did not do an amended budget. We're just going ahead and spending the money without the amended budget or a capital plan. That was all we offered. He goes on to state, I understand that there was supposed to be a budget committee meeting. It didn't take place, but we could wait a month to do the same thing. So I don't want to be spending extra money without having a full budget review of it. All 3 directors were uninterested in this conservative and measured approach to spending money. The new allocation to the budget allowed the board to slide in their pickleball conversion under the guise that the tennis courts needed resurfacing. And the promise to the community that pickleball would be paid for with grant money evaporated, swept under the rug as though it was never mentioned. To be clear, even the $50,000 allocated wasn't enough to cover the pickleball conversion. Directors Barkey, DeMarco, and Maynard voted to approve a $61,000 expenditure for their conversion based on a bid sight unseen that included resurfacing of tennis courts and a basketball court that were only 4.5 years into their useful life expectancy of 7 years. And with warp speed, in a matter of 6 weeks after a bid was approved, pickleball conversion is scheduled for November 20th. How can you board members place so little value on your words your commitments. You shoved through pickleball as an urgent, dire need that no one in this community should have to wait one more day for, let alone a month, while our children play on outdated playground equipment and picnic goers at Rossmoor Park are forced to wait 5 years for a shade canopy that Rush Park has had in place for years. As to the approval of the bid, I won't reiterate what Dr. Kaplan has stated. However, I've since been able to obtain the bids, and I certainly have a few questions. And despite Tarquin's and Mr. Mendoza's assurances that for the most part, everything is the same, I found that not to be the case. Again, the lack of sound decision-making is beyond comprehension. Any municipality, certainly one with a $2 million budget to run its parks, should prepare a master parks plan and capital improvement plan that would follow this board from year to year, regardless of who is sitting on the board. This board was ethically obligated to put on hold any pickleball-related issues until a detailed accounting of Prop 68 could be conducted, and most certainly until the canopy and playground projects were completed. In addition, the premise for pickleball conversion was predicated on receiving grant funding, which you have not gotten, and no vote should have been put before the board. The 3-director majority on this board offers this community mistrust, misdirection of your words, and no desire to honor the commitments you have made for and towards our parks. It is a sad commentary and not why you were elected.
Thank you. All right, anyone else?
I just got
Now come up to the mic.
On the 2nd, I went out to get the newspaper. I live at 2641 Copa de Oro, and I noticed a person from the trash company in one of those vests going to every residence and going through their trash cans and taking pictures and then logging stuff down. And I sat there watching her. She noticed me, so she turned around and started videotaping me. But to me, that's unbelievably disgusting, immature, unprofessional. If the trash company sent out flyers to everybody and said they're going to do that, fine. But to do that behind their back, I couldn't believe it.
Did she have a CR&R shirt on?
She just had a vest on, with the glowing things. I mean, I saved one of the video cameras things. I mean, I could give that to you if you want. But there was I watched her go from about 4 different residences, each trash can,
Taking pictures.
open it up, go through it, take pictures, and write in a log. So pretty creepy. You might ask them about that.
Thank you.
Sounds like the trash police,
Yeah.
making sure.
Can I comment on that?
Sure.
Sure.
CNR.
Wait. And Mike, I'm Mike.
I'm not defending what they did, and it does sound kind of creepy, but CR&R is required by law, California statute, to enforce the rules about dividing the garbage in the various bins.
Yeah, there was a flyer that came out that day too, but, I mean, why would you tell the residents that we're going to be doing that, so behave yourselves or something?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know, but definitionally, they have told us that they are required to enforce, and I'm assuming that this is the mechanism by which they're enforcing. Perhaps, I don't know this, it's sort of a dry run to figure out how are they going to enforce, is this the way they're going to do it? I don't know, but yeah, it's kind of weird if somebody's opening up your trash cans. Now, I also think...
Well, and taking pictures.
Yeah, that too. It's also the case, I believe, that your trash on the street is considered public, right? So anybody, if they wanted to, can go through your trash and look through and get stuff and whatever. It's considered something that's now public that you're discarding. So yeah, we can, maybe Joe can call CR&R and ask, what is their policy? Why are they doing this? And what's their strategy?
And the fact that she saw me watching her, then turns around with her iPad and starts videotaping me, I mean, how immature is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Thank you. All right, let's move on. Yep.
President Marco, for the record, can I get your first and last name and the spelling of your last name?
For me,
Yeah, for the record.
Curtis Wheeler,
Wheeler, yeah.
Yep.
2641 Coverdale Road.
W-H-E-E. Yeah.
And I can provide a video from my survey.
Thank you.
Joe, do you want to move up?
Yes, please.
Okay. Anybody have a problem with moving just because our auditor's here and has another meeting tonight? This is going to be H1.
As long as Chris is next. I don't want to keep Chris much longer either.
Chris is here till 10.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, well,
Okay, any problem with moving H1 up before a D?
no.
Okay, all right, so just a bit out of order, let's, H1, report from the audit committee, that's the one, correct, Joe?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, Joe, why don't you introduce and,
Sure. President Marco, members of the board, as you know, we did a draft audit, and this is our final reading of our audit. You have before you a final version from Rogers, Anderson, Melody, and Scott, our contracted auditors. With us tonight, we have Mr. Terry Shade, and Terry will be walking us through our audit. Last week you got a preliminary, last month you got a preliminary update. I want to let you know our revenue's up, expenditures are down, and we're in a good financial situation. And Mr. Shea will walk you through that.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board, district staff. My name is Terry Shea. I'm one of the partners at RAMS. You should have 2 letters in front of you, as well as the audit report. So the first letter in the first highlight says our responsibility in relation to the financial statement audit. I'll go over that. And what this letter is a communication from the auditors to the board. And the first part is our responsibilities. Our responsibility is to make sure to form and express an opinion about whether the financial statements that have been prepared by management with your oversight are presented fairly in all material respects in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. On page 2 of this letter, we comply with all ethical requirements regarding independence. There are significant risks when you audit. One of those is management's override of controls. We did not find any of that. And then revenue recognition. Like a lot of people received ARPA grants, and I don't know if the district did, but you know, the revenue recognition on that is you had to spend it to recognize it. So there are certain revenue recognitions. Then the next page is, so we encountered no significant difficulties during the audit. You should have 2 letters.
Yeah, they're attached.
No.
You only have the
I have
one
2.
letter.
Both Director Searles and I have 2 of the same ones.
Yeah.
these are the
Same
2
here.
reports?
No, you should have 2 letters.
Oh.
You should
Different
have one
ones.
report.
We have 2 of the same.
And we have, just so you know.
You only have one?
We have the reporting and, financial reporting on compliance and other matters.
You have the box.
Government auditing controls, we don't have the other one. But I got 2 of them.
Oh, hey, we found it. Okay.
I think he needs one as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, this one's much thicker.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we're all fumbling through it, looking through it. Am I the only one that didn't get one?
No, I didn't get one.
So this letter is our communication to the board. And so if you turn to page 3, we encountered no significant difficulties. There were no corrected or uncorrected mistakes that we found in your books. We had no disagreements with management. And we did receive a representation letter from management, which is attached to this letter. Any questions on this letter?
Well, since I'm-
I don't know if this is the right time. I guess my general question is, what is the auditor's general impression between last year's audit and this year's audit?
I wasn't the partner last year. This year we found no difficulties. I think last year we had a management letter comment regarding bank recs, but that's been fixed. I could find out from the other partner, Brad, and see. I didn't hear of any difficulties encountered last year, so I wasn't made aware of any. So, but sure, feel free anytime you have a question just to ask. The other letter is the report on internal controls and compliance in accordance with government auditing standards. So we look at your internal controls over financial reporting, which is like over AP, bank recs, accounts receivable, billing, and payroll. We found no discrepancies, significant deficiencies, or material weaknesses. Then we also look at compliance with state laws, payroll, those kind of things, and we found no findings in regards to compliance items. So then the other report you have up there is the audit report. And if you turn into page 1, the first paragraph states what we did. So we audited the statements of the governmental activities, which is the district as a whole, which includes any debt you may have and capital assets, and then the major fund, which is the general fund, for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2023. The second paragraph is our opinion. It says, in our opinion, the accompanying financial statements present fairly, in all material respects, the respective financial position of the governmental activities and the major fund. What this is saying is you have an unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of assurance that we can give you. And then the second page down there at the bottom, the last paragraph, that is that letter. The other reporting required government auditing center. That was the letter we just went over where we had no findings. If you turn into page 4, this is the government-wide position, which brings in your capital assets and your debt. And you can see total assets, $5,776,000. Total liabilities, $123,000. So from a financial standpoint, the district is in good shape. Your only debt is compensated absences, which is what you owe the employees for vacation and sick leave accruals. The net position is like retained earnings for like a regular business. Investment in capital assets is basically those assets are already spent, so you can't spend them, and that totals the land or the capital assets not being depreciated, and then the other, and then your unrestricted net position is $1,675,000.
Mr. Shea, could you go back to page 3? I apologize.
Sure.
The required supplementary information.
Sure.
So I'm reading the last sentence of the second paragraph about not providing an opinion.
Which paragraph?
The second paragraph. I mean, both the first and the second paragraph seem to state that there wasn't sufficient information provided, that it was missing information. Can you kind of elaborate on what this means, practically speaking?
On the required supplementary information, which...
Yes, it says missing information, although not part of a basic financial statement, is required by the GASB, who considers it to be an essential part, and then you state essentially your opinions aren't affected by this missing information. But the next paragraph, you roughly state there's additional missing information, but you don't state that the opinion's not affected by this missing statement. In this section, you state, we do not express an opinion or provide any assurances on the information because the limited procedures do not provide us sufficient evidence to express an opinion. What does that mean?
The only thing is, for this one, is which is basically referring to page 22, which is your budget to actual.
Yeah.
We don't express an opinion on the budget, is what we're saying.
I think where Director Seals might be going is, if you recall when we had our committee, I brought up the similar thing. It says our management has omitted the management discussion.
Right.
And if you recall, both you and our accountant Mike, I
Right.
can't remember Mike's last name, gave us the pros and cons and why it made sense that we don't. Can you elaborate on that to help them out?
What the MD&A does is basically takes your financial statements and there's like 13 or 14 items that have to be in there. And it just breaks it down into like summarized sections. That's all it does. It's an SEC requirement that came out for for-profit companies that came to government about 14 years ago. It's not required, just recommended. And the district accountant didn't feel it added anything. And we had a long discussion. It was decided not to do it. What the MD&A does basically is, in simpler words, explains your financial statements. Basically, it explains.
Say that more clearly.
And it just basically summarizes your operations. It'll like list your net income for the year. It'll give you your fund balance, your retained earnings for the year. It goes over your debt. It goes over your capital assets. It goes over the changes between the numbers. Basically, that's what it does. It compares one year with the last year and just highlights changes and what changed and why. That's what the MD&A does. It's just additional information, so, from management. But management has decided.
But it was decided not to provide that?
Well, the management decided not to provide it, right, so.
And so the audit committee is okay with not providing that?
Yes. Both Joe Shade and I, Director Shade, were there. I wish Mike, our accountant, was here because he was able to provide exact reasons why it wasn't germane. Because I brought it up too, and I wish he was here.
Yeah,
Because his answer was really good.
If I may, on page 79, there's somewhat of a summary that I believe Ms. Shay's talking about.
Well, we did ask for you to provide, instead of in this particular format, which I think is Sarbanes-Oxley or certain laws, we did ask for you as our general manager and as our executive to put out a statement, just not under the dictates of this format.
As opposed to required, it would have just been supplementary information, just not required, so. But I mean, that's something that can be added. It takes time to do.
Did we add it last year?
No.
I mean,
No, we haven't.
okay, so
And I do remember that it was not a fruitful exercise based on the amount of time and expense it was going to do. Benefit versus the amount of resources taken.
A lot of smaller districts don't include it.
and what are we talking about again, the financials?
No, no.
No,
It's called management discussion and analysis.
Oh, management discussion analysis.
It basically breaks your financial statements out into changes between 1 year and the prior year, and some go back 2 years, and it just highlights what changed and why it changed. And then it also goes over your debt, your capital assets, your outlook for next year, which would be 23, 24. There's like, I think there's 11 or 12 requirements that have to be in there.
So it was done, but we're just not including it, or it wasn't
It was
done?
not done.
Okay.
Yeah, we've never done it here, so.
It wasn't done based on the size of our agency.
Uh-huh. Is it
Or
an
district, I should say.
it's an added expense, I assume, to do that?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, it takes time. What we provide, though, is because we have all the tables, there's tables you have to put in there, and we provide the tables, and then management writes the descriptions as to why, what changed, and how it changed, so.
It's my understanding, we got this fancy accounting software. This seems like it should be routine.
Yeah, but again, I'm trying to figure out what we're trying to analyze. Is it something our auditor should be analyzing, since, have we ever done it? Have we ever included it in the audit?
I believe there was, and I'm going back historically, I think there was 1 year where Mr. Ruth did do it. I do want to say that this format that you're seeing in these exact words, and again, please correct me if I'm wrong, these are boilerplates that cannot be changed unless there is
An issue.
an issue there.
Right.
And based on the size, and based on the arguments that our accountant made to us, Director Shade and I said, let's proceed like we have the last 3 years, based on what they said, not him, but what Mike said, was going to be something that would slow things down, something that would take a lot more time, that really there wasn't a reward for it because all the information is still in this report. And so we asked Mr. Mendoza to do a supplemental statement and letter
Okay,
with
which
this
we've done.
instead of following a certain format that has certain rules, that has certain legalities about it to do it. And again, I wish Mike was here.
And these numbers we look at in relation to the financial statement and basically make sure that if you had an MD&A in the budget, those numbers do tie to the financial statements. So, but there's a lot of verbiage in there as to why things changed and this and that, and so we don't necessarily issue an opinion on discussion. So it's not hard to do those. The first year takes a while, but with the district so small and limited revenue sources, and not a lot of change between the years, it doesn't add a lot to your statements. So if you look at what Joe wrote for the audit committee, it's basically that summary, was very well done. So. I mean, years ago when you had the debt and the wall and all that, it might have been, a little bit more, but, you guys have got it down, so. Okay, so back to page 4. And so your total net position is $5,652,761. Page 5 is also at the government-wide. And this one then would include depreciation expense, which is one of the main differences, plus the expense for the compensated absences. And this one starts with expenses. And so you have $1,958,000 worth of expenses. You have charges for services, $197,000, and you have some capital grants contributions. And so your expenses less your charges and your capital grants, you have a negative $1,680,000, and then you have property taxes, special assessments, investment income, and then other. So total general revenues of $1,736,000 and a change in net position of $56,000. Any questions on this schedule? So the next schedule is your general fund, your basic fund. The difference between that and the other one is the capital assets and the compensated absences. So you can see your total assets, $1,798,000, which is almost all cash of $1,681,000, offset by total liabilities of $89,000. And so usually you want like a 3 to 4 current ratio, which is total assets, current assets over liabilities, and you guys are way over 3 to 1 with $1.8 million to $89,000. So your unassigned fund balance of your general fund is $1,709,000. The next page is your statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. So your total revenues, a little over $2 million. General government expenditures of $968,000. Public services, $317,000, Parks and Recreation, just under $400,000, and then capital outlay of $97,000. So total expenditures, $1,797,000, and then your net change in fund balance, which is $291,000. So that's a very good year. And then your end of the year, your $1,709,000 is your unassigned fund balance. The next page, page 9, explains the difference between the two sets of statements, the government-wide and then the other. And you can see that it's government report capital outlay, $162,000, which is your depreciation expense for the year, decrease in compensated absences, and then some other revenues. And so it basically explains why your net income went from $291,000 to $56,000 on the other statement. So. Any questions on the balance sheets, profit and loss? So we'll turn to page 15. I'll just hit a couple of the notes. And so your cash, you have cash on hand of $400, which is petty cash or a change drawer. You have demand deposits, which is your checking account. And then your investments, which is in the local agency investment fund at the state of California. It's actually paying around 4% now, so that's good. up from .2, so. Any questions on where your assets, your cash is? Then you go to page 19. This is your capital assets. You started with $4,140,000. You had depreciation expense and then any capital assets. And it's made up of land and then a small amount of construction in progress. And then your buildings and structures, your equipment, and then your vehicles, offset by depreciation. And then page number 20. Your long-term liabilities is your compensated absences. So any questions on any of those items? And then page 22 is your budgetary comparison schedule. So you can see your total final budget was $2,080,000 in revenues, and you had a little bit over that, so $8,000 to the good. And then as Joe indicated, your expenditures were down. You budgeted $1,956,000 and you spent $1,797,000. So overall, a net change in your budget of about $176,000 to the good, and then the $291,000 actual. So any questions on the budget to actual? Any questions on any of the audit or the procedures or anything like that?
I have one comment. So, Joe, Carolyn, can we get whatever comment Mike gave to the committee as to whatever we were talking about earlier, okay, why something was not included, with the fact that we haven't included it in the past and the reasoning and his reasoning why, can we get a statement from Mike? Can you send it to the board? And then can you include that statement in our minutes? Because we just don't seem to have it. And if he was here, he could explain it. But whatever he said to the committee, just, re-articulate the point as to why, the reasoning, a little bit of background, and to make it less confusing than we all are now, right? Just to clarify that point that he had as to the reasoning why the directors didn't go with it.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Because that's going to happen year after year. If you look at our report last year, it has that same exact language by law.
Okay.
It is a template form per government rule that if you have it, here's the boilerplate that goes in. If you don't have it, here. So last year it said manager was by omission. The year before by that, the year before by that. So it'll happen next year again unless the board decides that we want moving forward.
And more of an elaborate analysis.
Again, and all that's going to do is change that one paragraph, and then you're going to turn the page, and you're going to see Mr. Mendoza's statement.
Okay.
It's not like they can just alter and write whatever they want.
It is recommended. It's not required.
It's optional.
I was under the impression, I thought that it does add something to the statements, but Mike did not. And these are your statements, so we went with that. It's not terribly hard to do. The first year is a little bit of work, but once you have it in there, it's not terrible. And Director Maynard is right. 99% of that report is boilerplate. The only time it's not is if we have a finding, and then the findings are explained. So.
Okay.
Yeah, for this, the main thing is we have since we don't have debt anymore, our liabilities are solely on sick leave and vacation accruals.
Yeah.
We brought in more money than we anticipated. We brought more money in and we spent less out, and we are sitting on unreserved investments, I think 3 times higher than our threshold as a policy of what our reserve should be. So we are in a very strong financial position.
And on a district this size, I think Mike said it doesn't really add a lot, the MD&A, because the report's so small and you are in great financial condition.
So it would just be, I'd certainly want the board to understand his position. So, just have him put it into words and explain what we're.
It seems like it would. My first year here, I was going through the audit, and Brad recommended to me not to do it because it was just too cumbersome, and we were in a situation where there was so much explanation or movement that it made any sense to do. So because like he said, the walls paid for, the parks paid for, and yeah, there was no bonds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like it would add a level of just understanding.
Yeah,
I mean, it's sort of like your blood tests look really good, so we're just not going to compare them to last year's.
The first part of the MD&A goes over how the statements are laid out and explains each statement and how it works, so I think that would help. So
I don't know.
I can send you samples of
Yeah.
MD&A through.
I think before we make a decision for next year, let's just hear what Mike has to say, and then we can have a discussion about it. Okay, sound good? Any questions on the audit? Committee members have any more?
Got them all.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a thorough discussion, about an hour, going through every item of the statement, so it was pretty thorough. So.
Yeah, a lot of fun, I'm sure. Yeah, fun for you.
enjoy
You
it,
like
so
this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we appreciate the opportunity.
Any other
to
questions?
serve.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. So let's move back.
Do we move to accept?
Oh,
Is
Thanks
it?
a lot.
do we need a motion to accept the, oh, okay. Then I'll wait for a motion to accept the audit report.
Since I'm on the audit committee, I will make the motion to accept this audit report.
I will second that.
Okay, all those in, do we need a roll call, or can we just, Tarquin? Audit report, accepting, just,
Oh, roll call.
oh, roll call, okay.
Roll call. Director Barkey?
Aye.
Director Shade?
Aye.
Director Maynard?
Aye.
Director Searles?
Aye.
President DeMarco?
Aye. Okay. All right. So now let's go back to reports to the board. D1, recreation report. Chris. You're up, Chris.
Finally.
Are you leaving?
Let's go. Come on, lay it on us.
Fine.
Yep, no, he's got it.
Hello, everyone. Just going to do a quick review of the end of summer, beginning of fall, and upcoming events. We ended Movies in the Park by showing Lightyear. We provided arts and crafts for the kids, as well as a bounce house, and we had a pizza vendor and some light snacks available for purchase. We also had Shakespeare by the Sea come out for a weekend right here at Rush Park. And they came out and performed Hamlet and Twelfth Night. And I believe they recorded it, and you could still see Hamlet online, I believe. And we closed out the Rossmoor Family Festivals with Stone Soul. They did a great job. They had the crowd just jumping and dancing around, singing along the songs. It was a great time. It was good to see everybody out and about and just have a great time with everything. That was one of the most attended events that we had, I believe. And we asked them to stay a little bit longer, and the crowd just loved it and appreciated that.
That's awesome.
They stuck around. We also had the Heroes Appreciation Luncheon. It was co-hosted by RCSD and Los Alamitos Chamber of Commerce. And that was also here in the Rush Park Auditorium. And that honored our medical frontline workers and those in uniform for their bravery and courage. And it sounded like they had a great event for that as well. We just had the Harvest Festival here in collaboration with the Farmers Market we do here on Thursday. And that was a great event. We didn't know what to expect, how many people were going to come out, but there was a ton of kids out here in costume. Some of the parents, some of the dogs even had costumes on. We provided pumpkin painting, face painting, cookie decorating, crafts, pony rides, and a costume contest with prizes. And we also had Halloween music going on and a bunch of photo opportunities for everybody to enjoy.
You had a karaoke guy that just sang.
Yeah, we
I
had the
guess no one
jazz
wanted
guy.
to do karaoke, he just walked around and sang.
He was
That's
walking
great.
around. He's a good guy. He performs at Spaghettini a lot too. The little girl that won, she had a great costume. It was she was one of the witches from Hocus Pocus, and it was better than a lot of adult costumes that I've seen. It was a really good costume. We gave her some prizes. We gave out some prizes, some medals. We plan on doing it. We talked about it. We plan on doing it a little bit better next year, spreading it out a little bit more, and just providing some more fun for everybody to have. It was a great event for the first time. Let's see what else we have. Upcoming events. We have tomorrow, we have the third Wednesday of the month, and it's American Red Cross Blood Drive. If you could still donate, you could try and schedule at redcrossblood.org. That's the third Wednesday of each month. We have the Fentanyl Crisis Town Hall Meeting. That is going to be this week on Thursday, November 16th, also here in Rush Park Auditorium. That begins at 6:30, and it's from 6:30 to 8, and that is hosted by the Orange County Sheriff's Department, along with Orange County Healthcare Agency and Rossmoor resident Kimmy Nilsson. And they're going to be providing up-to-date information about the epidemic, and they're going to be giving away free life-saving naloxone to all in attendance. So it'd be interesting to find out about the crisis. Come on down. It's Thursday, starting at 6:30. Also, this weekend, November 18th, we are doing an event with CR&R, and we're doing the bulky item cleanup. Starting at 9, it's going to be in the Rush Park Auditorium this Saturday, and that's where you could bring items that...
Rush Park Auditorium?
Oh, I'm sorry, Rush Park
Okay,
parking lot.
all right.
Yeah, it'll be a little crammed in the auditorium, but in parking lot. Last time we had a line around the block.
Yeah, we
You
did.
could come drop off items that are not usually picked up on regular days, large items mostly. Just a reminder, no U-Hauls or walk-ups for the event. It tends to slow everything down a little bit, so we learned from past
No
events.
big rigs to drop
Yeah,
off? Okay.
it slows it down a little bit. At the same event, we're also doing a compost giveaway where residents can come by and get 2 bags of free compost. Upcoming as well is the Rossmoor Winter Festival. That's going to be here in the Rush Park parking lot, December 9th. That's going to be starting at 4, from 4 to 9. We have a bunch of school choirs coming out. We have a snow zone with sledding. We have a kid zone with bounce houses. We have a bunch of vendors coming, food trucks, pony rides, petting zoo, and of course Santa's going to be here as well. And we're always looking for local sponsors. We have some great sponsors already joining us, but we're always looking for some more. So that's going to be exciting. December 9th from 4 to 9. Right here in the parking lot. Ongoing, we have the farmer's market, like I mentioned before, every Thursday, starting at 4. We have, the next couple of months, we have Youth Center out here doing free arts and crafts, starting at 5 o'clock for the kids. Also, we have, I mentioned before, the American Red Cross. They have the monthly third Wednesday of the month, monthly blood drive. Like I said, next one is November 15th. That is tomorrow. And then over at Rossmoor Park, we have the Rascals After School Program. That's in conjunction with Youth Center, and just a fun, safe place, supervised for kids to just come build friendships, learn new skills, discover their passions. They got games, they got crafts, sports, and other activities for them to do over there as well. And that's all I have. Is there any questions I could answer for you guys?
Any questions on all that?
No, I've been in touch with Chris, so I know everything that's going on already. Thank you for your update, Chris. I appreciate
Sure.
everything you do.
No
Well,
problem, thank you.
I'm always amazed that you could get Santa to come. I mean, it's the 9th. He's got so much to do,
I
but
know.
you still are, and he comes to Rossmoor.
I know.
amazing.
I booked them early.
I don't know how you guys set that up and who you know, but that's awesome.
Director Markey, any questions?
No, sir.
Fantastic year, and we're going to cap it off with the Winter Festival.
Sounds good, appreciate it, thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Chris. Okay, next up, D2, report from the Ad Hoc Traffic and Safety Committee. Mr. Mendoza.
Yes, sir. President Marco, members of the board, as you know, we're on the I guess, the fast track to find a solution or to even make improvements to our traffic situation on the Montecito corridor. On the October 16th, we had an ad hoc committee meeting. We had Wei-Zhu, our senior civil engineer from County of Orange, and she presented a presentation to you that you'll see the billboards up there, and you'll see it come up on your screen of different options that we may take or may consider as a district and as a residence to make alterations in order to, 1, control speed, 2, control parking, and to make it safer on our streets. So basically what we're looking for down the road is a consensus of our residents on what would be the most, I guess, best avenue to take in making those alterations. So the plan is to put these on display on our December 9th Christmas festival, market it, let people know that they can come out and see it, and have an explanation at our informational booth that we're going to put up. And then on December 14th, I have an open house here at Rush Park. And to, again, market it, ask people to come out, maybe make these posters bigger, and give everybody maybe 5 dots or 10 dots to pick and choose which ones they would like to see. Not that that's going to make any difference, but it will give us an idea that, hey, option A is the most viable or the most liked. But then in turn, we're working with the County of Orange to come up with a survey that will go out to every household in Rossmoor, and it'll be somewhat of a Survey Monkey type survey with these same questions, and they might be refined a little based on some of the input we received from our open house, and ask for input by January 31st so we can see where we're going to go with this in the future, and give the board some kind of evidence as to what the residents want. So I hope that makes sense. If I didn't, please, I'll be happy to answer any questions. The surveys will go out in January, and we'll have them done by the 31st.
I'm a little concerned about doing this at our Holiday Fest. One, because there's going to be residents and non-residents. And then if you have someone here presenting, that can actually lead to a bias versus, but yet, I mean, if whoever is
What do you
presenting.
mean presenting? What do you mean?
Well, if you just come and look at things,
Yeah.
is this enough for someone to actually make an educated decision? If they have questions, who are they going to ask? And if that person answers questions in a certain way, it could lead to a bias.
Yeah.
Meaning, let's say you had a person present while people are coming in, crowds at a time saying, okay, here's what this means, here's what this, but still, that's like, I've done enough marketing research that can accidentally
Sway.
guide and sway people. So I'm concerned about resident versus non-resident at our winter festival. And I don't know if that's actually the right appropriate time for this type of conversation. I understand having an open house where you try to have an unbiased person just present facts and not opinions, and then let people have little tickets that we know they're residents, and then they can vote.
Well, that's what I hope, maybe I've misrepresented what I was saying. The December 9th is just a teaser. We're going to put those out there and let people.
So no vote?
No.
Yeah, no,
Let
no,
people
it's
come.
not.
Just education only?
Yes.
Okay,
Well,
all right.
It's
December
really
9th.
to gain interest. So
Okay.
the problem we're having is, it's not a problem, but, the people that are very, very interested in this, several that live on Montecito and are impacted by this, our little corridor that runs through Rossmoor, they all come and show up, but a lot of people from other parts of Rossmoor have no idea what we're even doing. So there's going to be a lot of people at the Winter Festival, so maybe to Joe's, what he's saying, like a teaser to, hey, what's this all about? And then you say, you know what, December 14th, you know what, go to our website, you know what, go to Public Works website, and you can read all of the, because the county spent $110,000 on the consultant to put this all together, okay? Based on our ask, we want Montecito to be a safer roadway. So I think, there's not going to be a discussion either way. It's, hey, this is what we've been doing since September, right? We had our first meeting in September. And hopefully it'll spark interest, right, Joe, to hey, we're going to have a town hall on the 14th, and look for your survey. Do we have how many emails do we, for the survey, when it goes out, do you have an idea, what's the number? Is it going out email-wise, or is it just going to be on the?
It's going to be a mailer.
Oh, it's going to be a mailer with a QR code. Okay. So it's advertising the idea that, hey, we're going to have a mailer in January. Please fill it out. Please look at it.
So where would this be during this holiday event? The East Room, the West Room? You have a place where you're going to?
No, we'll probably put a booth out.
An RCSD booth.
In the dark,
With our
okay.
displays.
No, we're going to have lights.
Okay, I'm just.
I understand what you're saying where, hey, if they have questions, if it depends on how you answer them.
Right.
To me, it's really, if you've been to the meetings, all of these, the pictures on these posters are backed up with data. Okay, so the last meeting, we whittled down based on the previous two meetings on, there were 4 options. On many circumstances, 2 of them just non-option, just did not get any positive, right? So again, one example is the angled parking. Okay, the angled parking, there was no reception from anybody in the no, it's a bad idea. That's taken off now. So really, we have 4 lanes on Montecito. Do you want 2 with a left-hand turn lane? Here's the reasons why you would choose this, and this is why this is an option, and there's data behind it. Slowing down, it's safer, okay?
No, I get how you would do it at the presentation, not just,
But you're talking about at our meeting, or at our festival.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because if I was in there, I'd probably sway people to my opinion just by nature, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, don't go over there and
Don't-
sway people's
exactly.
opinion. I don't know. I think to me, I'd want more interest. I'd rather have more interest with Rossmoor residents getting involved in, hey, we're talking about changing the striping and other things, roundabouts and everything in Rossmoor, okay? Please be interested in it. Here, this is, okay.
now, at your traffic meeting, did the slowdown of, July 2024 or June 24, when local cities and/or agencies can actually slow things down without traffic studies? Did that come up? And what was Wayzoo's comment in public?
I don't recall
It
her
coming up?
reaction. No. I believe, it came up. It came up. There's a new law that counters this.
Yeah.
Okay, because again, she's had a long history of saying, no, there's a law that says you got to do a study, and if it's over so many, okay, so I don't know, she did not know of the law or had read it, so she couldn't comment on it.
Okay.
Okay, but certainly not just, Director Searles and I, but other residents have said, and not only you, that they would like to see 25 throughout Rossmoor.
Like to slow it down?
Yeah, slow it down. So that's pushing, that's been a consistent ask of Wayzoo.
Okay.
So we're going to put this in, well, this is already in so we're going to have the 14th, so we're going to have the festival.
We're going to market it through local paper. We're
Okay.
going to put it on our website. We're going
Okay.
to, we're going to end up mailing out to each home.
A postcard with the
Yeah,
QR code?
right.
Okay, and we need to blast the fact that we're going to be sending out in early January. Okay. All right, hopefully we get, again, the other thing is we've been trying to slow this down. As you can imagine, county wants us to make up our mind, but we've been trying to, this is a process. Could be a big change, okay? Hopefully in the positive, slowing down, making Montecito more safe, but at the same time, we want to get the momentum to where people are interested in getting information about this, and the only way to do it mainly is when, the 2,000 people come to our events, they see, hey, what's this, right? So, any other questions?
No, I think that's
All
a
right.
great plan.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Next, let's have a report from the Parks and Facilities Committee. Mr. Mendoza.
Sir. President Marco, members of the board, I just want to give you a brief update on our Parks and Facilities Committee meeting. Some of the information we have is an update regarding the status of our contract with Taylor Tennis regarding the pickleball and the conversion and the resurfacing of the tennis and basketball courts. That agreement has been signed. We're working with Taylor Tennis on securing bid bonds, and he has chosen so far November 20th as a start date. It'll be about a 2-week process, 2 to 3 weeks. We hope 2 weeks. He said 3 weeks to give him some buffer time. But With that, we're looking forward to moving forward and getting that project done. An update on the Rossmoor Community Services District flag. Carolyn has went out and received numerous bids, and the lowest bidder is a local vendor, I believe.
Sir Speedy.
Sir Speedy here in
Rossmoor resident, too.
Los Alamitos, right? And so we're looking at moving ahead with that. Conceptually, I believe the board approved our design, our artwork, and gave us the, I guess, approval to move forward. Director Sherrills left me a note that he didn't think we had received that information yet from the board, giving us the ability to move forward.
That was last month. It should be in our minutes, right? I thought because we saw it last month.
Yeah, I don't think there was an expenditure issue because it's under 5,000, but
Right.
bottom line is you conceptually you agreed that the artwork and the logo was our flag.
I believe so. Again, I would refer to the minutes. You should have them in the minutes. Okay.
Does Sir Speedy have some kind of proof that you get to sign off on before you commit to the 80 flags or whatever amount of flags we're going to buy?
Yeah, this is a very small purchase.
How many flags are we getting?
Their quote is for 6.
6
3
flags?
indoor, 3 outdoor.
Okay.
I mean, do we have a picture of it? You want
What's on the, it's right there.
to? Is it that? It's that, and then under it's,
That's what
what?
it looks like.
It'll
Except
be
the
with the frills.
And then under it, it says,
it doesn't say anything.
it doesn't say anything. Oh, it's just our logo.
It's our seal. That's normally what a flag is.
Okay.
An icon speaks for
Yeah.
itself.
I'm pretty sure we approved it.
If not, I will make a motion
I mean, if
to
we-
approve the flag
There's
as
the
seen
flag.
there, give or
Think we
take
approved
minus 10%.
Yeah, I-
And giving artistic direction to our
Didn't it
staff.
have gold trim around it?
Only indoors, only indoors. The
What
outside
color,
is-
is it going to be white background?
Yeah,
Yeah. with
It's
the
literally
gold
going to be
trim.
like that.
Exactly like that.
exactly.
And it
like
was
that.
it was in the, our agenda.
Yeah.
But in case we didn't, I'm putting out a motion that we approve to move forward with 6 flags, 3 inside, 3 outside. The inside has fun fringe.
It's not on the agenda, though.
It's not on the
Oh,
agenda.
this isn't on the
But
agenda. Okay.
Conceptually, I believe we,
I thought we did too, but
Yeah.
all right,
Okay.
we'll move forward. Review specification of flooring. I'm working on a bid package right now. I'm not done with it, but I will have it to you by our next meeting, and it'll be prepared, ready to go out to bid. Hope to start that project in January, along with our other project.
And the option will be not only just a section of the flooring.
The entire,
The
There'll be 3
entire carpet, a portion of, call it wood-like hard surface, and then an entire surface.
right.
Okay.
So 3.
So 3 different
options.
options, because the one point that did come up, and I've actually been to a couple of events lately, we might be able to rent this place out more if it's nothing but hard surface,
No, I think you're right.
based as little trade shows, accessible with wheelchairs. There can be potential for more use of this facility if it didn't have carpet at all.
The acoustics might be terrible, though.
It might be terrible.
It might be. I mean,
But you would be surprised when you actually get a sound system to come in and companies rent out these facilities. I was in downtown LA. The whole thing was brick around, looked really cool. It was all wood floors, but they had a really good sound system and had, TED Talk stuff
I
going
don't
on, and it
think
was
it's
awesome.
I don't think it's going to make, but when maybe no one's in the audience, unlike tonight, it might affect us.
Yeah.
Director Barkey.
But again, I just want to see what that looks like, and we'll make a decision at that time.
Okay. Sounds great.
Yeah? I think we're on consent.
That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Joe. All right, moving on, consent calendar. Any board member want
Well,
to?
I apologize.
Oh, go ahead.
I didn't flip the page, and I even asked Carolyn right now to please help me with this next portion of this report. The study session also discussed a list of possible district policy upgrades and additions. And we have a few, and I'm going to let her go through those. And we have a few more that we didn't get to, that the committee commented on, and we're making those changes. We didn't have time to get them to Tarquin to review legality-wise.
Okay.
But Carolyn.
So these items were discussed in committee, these
Right.
bylaw policy?
And there's more, yeah, there's more
Okay.
coming at you.
Yeah, there was a lot of, Joe brought to us, here are some, policy upgrades, but one was, well, this one should be Parks and Trees. This one should be
You're right.
Budget Committee, not our committee. So bring back stuff for our committee, for us to redline and discuss.
Yeah, and that was a comment that I'm making, but the real policy changes are in H4, so we need to go through our minutes first. I apologize.
Oh,
We're
okay,
gonna go
all right,
through
so
each.
we'll bring that back up in H, okay. So back to E, consent calendar. Any board member want to discuss any one of these? If not, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4-0. Okay, let's move on. Public hearing, none. Resolutions, G1, resolution number 23-11-1401, rejection of government claim. Joe, the rejection of government claim?
Okay. Before we move on.
Are we on two?
Director Searles did have a couple of spelling issues in the minutes, and he gave them to Carolyn, and she's making those adjustments.
Okay. All right.
So we want to go to the rejection of G1?
Yeah, G1, the government claim.
Wait, is E3 part of the consent?
Oh, wait a minute.
Long-term nonprofit user permit renewals for use of district property?
Yes.
That's in the consent?
Yes.
Okay, I'm good with that. Just want to make sure. I don't have a piece of paper to go off of, I only have my iPad.
Yeah, buyback, we've done that. in the
Okay.
past. Yes, yes. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay. G1, this is standard procedure. When there's a government claim, we hand it into our California Joint Powers Assurance Authority, who in turn gives us the direction to reject the claim, and then the resident or the claimant follows up and submits an additional claim that goes to Carl Warren and Company for CJPI to review. So this is just standard procedure.
Okay. So we have to vote on rejecting
Right.
in Resolution 23-11-1401. Okay, so we need a motion. We need a motion?
I make the motion to reject the claim. Do I have to read resolution numbers or anything like that? No, you just make a motion to reject the claim. I make a motion to reject the claim.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, 4-0. All right. All right, Joe, Resolution G2.
Actually, it's a roll call.
What?
Roll call.
It says it's a roll call.
Oh, sorry. Back that vote up. Let's do a roll call.
Back it up. Roll call. Director Barkey.
Aye.
Director Shade.
Aye.
Director Maynard.
Aye.
President DeMarco.
Aye.
Director Searles is no longer with us.
Okay.
He's left the building.
All right. Still 4-0. Okay, great. G2, Resolution 23-11-1402, a resolution of the Board of Directors of Rossmoor Community Services District authorizing the dispensing of alcohol, beer, and wine at 2023 Rossmoor Winter Festival. Mr. Mendoza.
Yes. Our agreement with Elite Special Events to put on this program at our Winter Festival, he has requested that he be able to retain a vendor to serve alcohol, beer and wine at the festival with stipulation, and of course that's keeping the beer and wine within containment of an area and selling to adults 21 and older, and getting an alcohol permit and going through all the processes and procedures we have in line. And so I'm putting this before you. We did do that in the summer. It seemed to work out. There was no issues. And so I would recommend that we move forward with this request.
Any discussion?
No?
We usually got a,
No issues?
we usually had like a plat map before.
It's in the report.
Yes?
When we get to when we get to,
Oh, it's,
It's the elite agreement, there's a map.
yeah.
all right.
And-
Okay.
We have had alcohol in this event before without any incident.
And I apologize, this, we're new at this new process. This resolution should have been part of the agenda.
Oh, you're right, because we passed that last time. Should be together.
Yeah.
Yep, should be together. Okay.
And the map is on page 133, in case you're looking for it.
Let's see, last time we voted on this, I didn't tell Director Barkey, so I'm going to probably not vote on this. I don't think we need alcohol at our festival. But the only difference now is we have a contractor to put together the whole thing. Before, it was RCSD putting the whole thing together, which was, to me, increased liability. But I remember last time I voted on this, you asked me, why didn't you tell me? Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to probably vote no.
Okay. And
I am going to vote no.
I'm going to vote yes, because we've had alcohol at this event since the very first time we had it, 5-6 years ago. We've had alcohol in our other events, and we have not had any issue.
And I think our residents want that.
And last time, there was people walking around with solo cups anyway. So I think our residents do want to have a little fun in a responsible way. And so far, they've demonstrated that they can handle it. So that's how I'm voting. So I'll make the motion. I make a motion to pass resolution number 23-11-1402, a resolution of the Board of Directors of Rossmoor Community Service District authorizing the dispense of alcohol, only beer and wine, at the 2023 Rossmoor Winter Festival.
I'll second that.
Roll call?
Roll call vote. Director Barkey?
Aye.
Director Shade?
Aye.
Director Maynard?
Aye.
President DeMarco?
No. Okay, passes 3-1. All right. All right, so we already had H1. Now we're going H2, review of SCA agreement. Mr. Mendoza.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We had a preliminary discussion about this, and the SCA, the Sunset Property Services, was taken over by SCA, as you remember. The SCA stands for Sweeping Corp of America, and so they're our new street sweeper. And we had it, our contract is up January 1st, 2024. They've asked for a cost of living increase of 3.7%. I have that in writing, and I plan to give them the approval after we meet tonight and hopefully get consensus. But that's as you recall, the county reimburses the district up to $80,000 annually. Before it was $60,000, and then we went to our alternate sides of the streets and 4 days a week instead of 2, and that came to $78,457.68 per year. And that's what we received this year. If this additional 3.7% is awarded, we'll be at a deficit of $1,360.61 fee increase over the $80,000. I did get a hold of the county just recently and received a confirmation that they will cover that extra money. And so before you tonight, I gave you a copy. I just received the confirmation today that the change frequency in the sweeping per month and increase the amount to $80,000, and that the county will pay up to $82,000 for the next fiscal year. And that's 67 curb miles, 48 sweeps a year, and they will reimburse it at the amount of $82,000. So that's before you.
So they capped it?
Yes.
They-
Yes. So the annual fee for next year with the 3.7% is $81,360. So they're capping at 82, and I have the agreement here. I'm going to sign it tomorrow and send it if we approve it tonight.
So tonight, you're asking for us to approve you entering this $80-something thousand contract?
Well, what I'm asking you to approve tonight is the agreement with SCA, the extension for 1 year. And then like I said, I just received this tonight. It's not our agenda, but I believe I can sign this contract on my own because it was sent to me.
No.
I asked Tarquin for information.
All contracts over 5,000 require our approval.
Okay.
You still sign it, but we still have to
Yeah.
approve it.
So we're approving the new contract with a 3.7 CPI adjustment, and with the amount being the 81,
360, 61.
Right.
Page 111.
Yes.
Yeah.
with the agreement with county that they are going to pay up to $82,000 for next fiscal year,
Yeah,
the
but the
contract.
question tonight, okay, and like I said, I just received this afternoon, I mean, like 4 o'clock or something.
Okay.
Because I'd been bugging them to see if they were going to honor the extra 3.7%. And they did come back and say yes. So tonight, I could only agendaize the SCA agreement. And now I have to ask Tarquin what our next step is with this agreement, as Director Maynard said.
Yeah, what happens, Tarquin, if this doesn't, I mean, this is a draft, does the Board of Supervisors have to agree to this?
Thank you.
Not yet.
Very good.
Thank you, President DeMarco. It is unclear to me, because this is just handed to me right now, whether or not the Board of Supervisors whether or not requires Board Supervisor authority to enter into this, or if it can be done at staff level,
Or board level?
board level.
Yeah. So what would be your, when does our contract end? Wait, it's Barbie says.
End of the year.
End of the year. End of the year. Okay, so we have one more meeting.
I won't be at that meeting.
Yeah.
So he has the authority.
Can we approve this in lieu of this? I mean,
It's
like-
my understanding that this agreement is with the County of Orange, and it's with James Treadaway. He's the Director of Orange County Public Works, and I understand and I know that he has the delegated authority to increase our 80 to 82. So basically, it's between us and Orange County Public Works.
okay.
Well, and the deputy council, county council needs to sign this as well.
Yeah, but, I mean, I don't know if it's,
And then it says, Mr. Mendoza, which again, if it's on the agenda, we can authorize him to spend money.
Yeah.
Can we authorize him right now? Because it's on topic and on point, even though it wasn't the specific.
If it's not on the agenda,
Okay.
it can't be authorized.
And then it's asking for our district secretary, and I don't know who that is.
However, I know Tarquin, I put him in a bad situation here. We've already approved the budget. We already have $80,000 in here. All I'm asking is for $2,000 more, not even that, 1,000 something.
and that's only if this draft resolution, for some reason, doesn't get signed, or, because if this gets signed and is effective, then they're going to cover the 81 and change next year, right?
Right, we're asking
But
them for an additional $1,360.
But this will technically be an amendment to a contract. So you're signing up for a contract for 12 more months, or 2 more years, or
12 more months.
12 more months. So the way our policy is it's one thing for you to sign a work order. It's a different thing for you entering into a contract per our policy. Which, if we had the vote, I'd be voting yes right now for you to do this anyway. But we do have policies, and I wish there was a way we can work around this.
So the contract ends in December.
Yes.
Okay,
You could have a special meeting.
Now you can.
yeah,
But tonight, we can approve the agreement with SCA.
yeah. And worst case, cover the $1,100 for next year. That would be the worst case, but Joe has been talking with Public Works and was told that, per this draft, that they're going to cover the CPI adjustment. And Joe's been working with, this person for several months.
Yes.
So,
Special meeting?
so the special meeting.
Well, the special meeting would allow him to enter a contract with the street sweeping company themselves, right?
No, I'm asking you tonight, take this other
Yeah.
portion aside,
Okay.
the 82,000. Tonight, I'm asking you to give me the authority
To sign this
enter into
contract.
agreement with Southern California.
Next year, it's going to be
Okay.
81.
With SCA, with the
Yeah.
street sweeping contract.
Go ahead, Tarquin. What?
This is properly on the agenda, the authority for general manager to enter into this agreement with SCA with the board approval. That's properly on the agenda. You can take that action tonight. Doesn't require a subsequent special meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, the only issue we have is, is the CPI going to be covered by Public Works? And Joe just got this today, and it looks like they are, but it's just a draft. So, I don't think this warrants a special meeting, unless you guys want to have a special
Well,
meeting.
No.
No.
This is one of those things, we have a special meeting, that's going to cost us $500.
Yeah, I know. It just-
So we can save $1,000, or we just go with this. Now, you've seen the email, Tarquin?
I have not seen the email.
You have not seen the email?
What email?
Some kind of communication from the county saying that, hey, we've got your back and we're going to go all the way up to 81.
You mean 82?
82. I just want to know, is this an implied contract? Is this an implied commitment? Is this,
There's no implied contracts with government agencies.
okay. Commitments?
Really, you guys, they don't apply?
Different legal standards.
Okay.
Tarquin, what are our options? So
I'm going to read
All right.
I'm going to read into the record
Yep.
the email that
This
Mr.
may
Mendoza
save us a
sent me.
meeting, but go- yeah.
This is from Lisa Goodenez, Operations Maintenance Official, Operations and Maintenance Office of the County of Orange. Hi, Joe, I've attached the amendment to the street sweeping agreement. If you accept the terms, please sign and date and email back to me. Please let me know if you have any questions.
That's from who?
Ligia Godinez, Operation and Maintenance Officer for the county.
That's James Treadaway?
Well, she works for James Treadaway.
And it's this draft.
Yes. Yes.
So she's asking you to sign it
Return it.
and return it.
And we can't authorize that tonight, correct?
If I may look at it for a moment, I don't know if your authorization is needed at this point.
Oh, I see. So the special meeting is to sign this contract.
Or December 12th?
Yeah, well, we wait till
If there's
December
four.
12th. Yeah.
Or
So,
even if
so
there's only
Mr.
three.
Mendoza's point is,
Yeah.
give me permission to sign with SCA, and next month,
Well,
when this is agendized, we're going to give him permission, or give him authority to sign this with the county.
right.
And an option would be for Mr. Mendoza to sign it, subject to ratification by the Board of Directors at their December meeting.
There you go.
There you go.
That's why we invite you to these meetings, Darkwing.
I make that motion.
Thank you for the invitation.
Okay, so let me just, so can I recap your motion that you,
I recapped the motion from Tarquin that says that we can allow him to enter the contract with the street sweeper, for him to enter into a contract that we then ratify at our next subsequent, I always hate that word, subsequent board meeting.
Right, so in essence, because this is not properly on the agenda, Mr. Mendoza has been given the direction that he will sign the agreement. He's reporting back, he will be what he understands that signature on the agreement will be subject to ratification by the board at the December meeting. So he's going to make that representation to the county or something similar, that he will sign it, but it needs to be formally approved by the board at the December meeting.
So would he date it December 12th? the day of our meeting?
I think that's sort of a formality, but I think he would deliver the message to the board,
Okay.
I'm sorry, to the OC Public Works. that
I'm
this
signing
is
this letter, and it'll be ratified on.
Subject to ratification. It will not
Subject
become
to-
effective until
And
it is
just let them know
ratified
it's
by the board.
procedural.
Yeah.
Right.
That good?
Yeah.
Do I get a second?
Second.
Okay, so sign the letter, sign them both, with ratify this draft next month.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Turpin.
Regular calendar, do I need a roll call, or? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. 4-0, all right. Okay, there's H3. Is that three. H3, discussion and action, authorizing general manager to enter into a contract with Elite Special Events to provide services at the 2023 Rossmoor Winter Festival.
President Marco, members of the board, as you know, we're getting ready to celebrate our holiday season, and Chris eloquently went over all of the programs and items that will be involved in the event. I want to thank Director Shade for stepping in and assisting Chris with all the entertainment that will be on the stage, and it's mostly community entertainment of
Nice.
kids, high school kids, junior high school kids, and a couple of adult. I think there's a line dance or a hula dance, yes. So basically, we're bringing the community out to celebrate, and they're performing for us. With that, as you know, we entered into a contract with Elite Special Event for all of our summer events and our last Christmas event, or holiday event, excuse me. And we'd like to do that again. Attached is our agreement. I'll go over some of the cost analysis on page 127. As you can see, on the right-hand column is all the fees and charges for some of the entertainment and some of the equipment that Elite will come out with. I've double-checked this with competitive bids for snow, for pony rides, from other vendors, and we're within the realm. Of course, Elite has tacked on a small percentage since this is their business. This year, and this is kind of, and I'll ask the board, this can be changed, it can be altered, but each year, the summer events, we turn it over to Elite. They charge, they collect the money, they keep the fees, and that's their reciprocation for coming out with all their equipment and their staff and supplies and things, and they charge about $20 to $30 a head at our summer events. Since it's the holiday season, I am putting out that we will collect the money. We're only going to charge $10 an event because it's a smaller portion of the time. It's a donation, not a donation, but I guess a goodwill gift to the community. Most other communities, it's free. You come out, you just get on the rides, and you just enjoy everything. I'm proposing a small $10 fee for a wristband, and I believe last year we brought in about $6,000 to $7,000, $6,500, yeah.
Was it $10 we charged you?
Yep. So it offsets some of our costs, and it helps defray some of the things we're doing, and I think it's a win-win for everybody, and people enjoy it. So that's the agreement. We collect the money. He provides us a booth. We reconcile. We put it in our safe, in our safe. We make sure it's handled properly, and we move forward with the event. With that, I think Carolyn has a couple of typos and other things that our Director Sherrills had concerns about, and she can go over that with you real fast.
Director Searles found the language on page 116 under 2.2. A little bit confusing, where it lists that the contractor to organize and promote one food truck winter festivals.
Hang on, let me get there.
Yeah, I think take out the word one.
So we need
Or go ahead and put trucks instead of truck. Just and promote food
Plural.
trucks for the Winter Festival. Okay, so basically, he organizes and recruits the food trucks and oversees that part of the operation.
It's the same sort of situation on page 125, paragraph 1. The promoter will organize one food truck festival.
Yeah.
Was this our contract with him last year, or just our contract in general? Or is this his contract?
This is his contract.
Okay.
His contract, and Tarkin has looked it over, and
Okay.
they're just, yeah.
So this was his boilerplate contract? Okay.
Yeah, so the way it works, President DeMarco, is we have our standard agreement, and then he has, his attachments are to it. Our agreement controls, he has three documents that are attached as exhibits. The first one is Exhibit A, the scope of services. It sort of reads like a contract, but it's not. What the board approves is our agreement. Exhibit A is just the scope of services, then Exhibit, as well as the price and terms. Then Exhibit B, we have the tap truck proposal, and then Exhibit C is the layout of the Winterfest.
Got it.
On page 128, Director Searles is also looking for clarification as to why there's a 0 for the snow characters. The $0 amount.
The vendor has, we were looking into possibly cutting some items in order to keep it within a certain budget, and the vendor is providing those on his own. He said, I'll just bring those out and provide that as part of our service.
He can't make the snow 0?
No.
Okay, just asking.
Olaf, you're going to cut Olaf?
Yeah, no, he's still coming out.
No, it's on,
No,
it's on
free.
him. It's free.
Director Searles is also looking for clarification on the bullet point down below where it says client will provide volunteers to help in snow and kids zone.
And Chris organizes that part.
Yes.
Isn't it that way every year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we bring that in.
The other clarification he was looking for was that last bullet point where the client will sell tickets for $10 and keep 100% of the income. I think you just covered that.
Yeah, we just covered that.
Yeah.
You're just going to strike that?
No, that's just part of the agreement.
I thought you said you were collecting that.
We are. It says the client, we're the client.
Oh, we are the, okay, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm so used to seeing contracts the other way. Okay.
Okay.
And then if you move farther along, there's some pictures of the beer truck, there's some ABC information that they're taking care of, then you have the chart of where everything is. And if you can see, the beer truck is under the large ficus tree at the entrance of the parking lot. The stage is off right out in front of here of the auditorium, and the beer truck's under that large ficus tree.
Okay. Joe, what's the cost difference from last year?
It's almost the same.
Same,
It's just-
okay.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah. And we have sponsors too.
Yes,
Yeah.
we bring in about 12 to 15,000 sponsors, somewhere in there.
Okay.
So this event is pretty efficient.
Yeah. So what's the comparison with charge? You give a wristband, right? So kind of like,
In this event, because it's and we'll see how the summer events go, because we're cutting those down because it's just too lengthy from 4, I think we're going to go 4 to 9. But this event is such a quick hitter and it's an unknown. The elite it was asking me for a guarantee, and I don't want to go that route.
oh, I see.
Okay.
Got it. Okay. So last year we charged, so to do all of the things, it's $10, get a wristband, and you go on many times as you want and all that, right?
Yeah, and at a certain point we kind of read the room, and if it's late and
Yeah,
if
understood.
a couple kids come, it might be
Yep.
$5 or whatever. But
Yeah, okay. Okay, so you're asking us to approve this contract?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, yes. 3, discussion and action authorizing. Okay, so just need any questions on the contract? I think it looks good. A lot of activity. All right, need a motion to approve?
So moved?
Need a second?
Second.
Okay. Just regular vote? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Okay. Okay, Joe, let's go H4, introduction of an amendment to policy number 6050 to update the facilities tennis court policy to include pickleball.
President Markle, members of the board, as I mentioned, we went over a number of policies that will be coming forward before you in the next couple of months as we feed them through Tarquin and make sure that they're all lined up with our dots and Ts crossed and everything else. However, tonight, the most pressing amendment that we need to look at is policy number 6050, and that's the update to tennis courts policy to include pickleball. I'm going to have Carolyn give you the pros and cons and the before and afters, and then be happy to answer any questions.
You have before you both how it stands right now and then a proposed version of, we've marked up for you to see what it would look like to include pickleball. Basically, we've just regurgitated the tennis policy. Minor changes in 6050.30. There was some strange language regarding 1.5 hours of play per day. We decided to round that to 1 hour. We're proposing 1 hour with a maximum of 2 reservations per day. And in paragraph 6050.52, the method of payment was very outdated, and we're proposing a more updated version, which includes credit card payment or by check or payments made at the office. Otherwise, most of the language remains the same.
So basically, we're mirroring the tennis court policies. I know that, and I don't want to surprise you, Director Maynard, because I know you mentioned a certain language that you wanted to include, and I believe it was racket sports, but we didn't want to do that because that would mean badminton and any other type of racket they want to come out on the court with, so we kept it to tennis and pickleball.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah, this is the first reading, Terry? Yeah.
So currently, it's, the reservations is limited to a maximum of 1.5 hours, and then in parens, per day on Saturday, Sunday, holidays, and after 3 p.m. On weekdays, after 3 p.m., okay. So now you're proposing, you can make a reservation while the courts are open, anytime the courts are open, for an hour, and the maximum reservation for one person is 2 reservations of 1 hour each.
So you can go back to back.
So you can go back to back, okay.
Now, if you were playing 4 in a pickleball, you can get 4 hours, each person.
Now, yeah, I guess you could. It's a lot of pickleball.
Or tennis. Yeah.
Or tennis,
Yes, if you're playing doubles.
yeah. Okay. Fee in an envelope, I
And
like
this
the
is-
payment method,
This is a first reading.
yeah. Okay. Any discussion, questions?
Nope.
Seems
Looks
pretty
reasonable.
straightforward. 1 hour, okay. So approval of, need a motion to approve the first read of,
I think it's just a first read,
oh,
right?
it's just the first read?
Yeah.
Oh. What's that?
Do you need a motion?
You do?
Need a motion to approve the first reading.
Oh,
Yeah. See?
well, shows what I know.
So since,
Oh, okay. Well, since I'm on that committee, I make the motion to approve the first reading.
Second?
second, okay, and this is for policy number 6050.
Mhm.
And all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Okay, passes. Okay. Next, H5, discussion and possible action, extended hours facility request for use of Rush Park Auditorium, East Room, West Room, and Field 3 at Rush Park.
President DeMarco, members of the board, there's a resident, Sarah Hall, who has requested that we extend the hours for a wedding event that they're planning for their family. She's submitted an application, and as you said, the Rush Park Auditorium, East Room, West Room, and Field 3 for a wedding on June 1st from 7 a.m. because of setup time to 10 p.m. that they would be over. So basically, they're booking the park and all the aspects of the park. So this is a little different because our policy reads that we have to come before the board for extended hours past a certain amount of hours. So we're recommending, we've met with the family and Sarah Hall, the requester, and we're recommending approval if the board seems.
So for this one event, if we pass it, we're approving those hours, the extended hours,
Just for this one event.
just for this one, and we've done this before. Okay. Any questions?
Yeah.
Move approval?
Well, I just have a quick question. 400 people. Is that a record? Is that bigger than we've ever done before? Is it normal? And is one person, one staffer enough for 400
Oh, no,
people?
We'll act accordingly.
Because it says here one staffer.
No, we'd probably ask for 2 staff, and there's no alcohol, so there really isn't any reason
Okay.
to be alarmed.
When is this again, Joe? June 1st.
June 1st.
You didn't get the invitation?
No, I haven't got one yet. Well, it's a long way out.
You can be a wedding crasher.
Yeah, we can crash it.
How do you know I didn't get an invite?
We're starting to get a few weddings. We have, Karen, we have one in March coming up, too.
Nice.
Yeah.
400 people, that's huge.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay.
I think Barkey made a motion.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, opposed? All right. Oh, general manager items. Wow.
We've pretty much went over everything. I want to point out that this Thursday night, we are doing our fentanyl awareness program, and
No.
the Narcan will be given out freely, and being, our attendees will be educated how to use it. So it's very important. I've learned a lot. I'm sure you have too. And I'm sure Dr. Barkey has seen it firsthand. And it's a crisis that we all have to be aware of.
How many are they giving out?
As many as you want. There's going to be all kinds. It'll be here.
Is that a 2-pack?
Yes, there's 2 in it. Yes,
Yes.
yes.
We have them in all our trucks. We have them throughout our facilities, and our staff has been educated on, how to use them.
Yep. Anything else, Joe?
No, I just want to point out, and thank you for coming out, that, Senator Wynn did come out and provide another update on fentanyl, and that was good to have her out here.
Yep.
Did you say that was going to be the 16th, right?
Yeah, yes, Thursday.
This Thursday.
Yeah.
Upcoming meetings is the Personnel Contract Committee on November 29th, 7 to 9, and then our next board meeting on the 12th. Miscellaneous district items, we did termite here at Rush Park. We also termited at Rossmoor. We had our pipes hydroblasted on November 6th and November 8th because we have had some situations, consistent situations with our plumbing. We're waiting for those results. The zip code change is still
That's pretty good.
up in the air, and we have submitted that and waiting for feedback. And that concludes my report. Oh, there is one, and we're studying it. Omero's been really good about meeting with a couple of lighting contractors. A couple of residents have complained that Kempton Park is really dark. And we do have a LED light out there that isn't too effective, so we're looking into either adding a pole or changing that out to give them a little more.
Do we have a service out there, electrical service out there?
Yeah, so
We have a meter out there?
I know we have electrical out there, yes. Yeah.
Because I thought that one that we installed was solar.
Oh, I don't know that. That's a good point. All I know is LED.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it's solar, and it's, again, probably 5-6 years ago
check.
technology. Yeah.
Might want to check it.
Well, Merrill met with an electrician out there.
All right.
Yeah.
Going to ruin it for the teenagers.
And then, lastly, Carolyn reminded me that Director Searles had a few more comments you want to go over?
They're related to items that were in the consent calendar, so we just quickly went over those. He had some typos that he found in the minutes, so
Yeah.
we'll take care of that. And then he still has questions regarding that miscellaneous line item. And
Okay.
I'll read his comment to you.
Okay.
I lost it. You provided response to board in email, but please provide to public. It's not just over 500, it was 7,500 provide. So basically, we spent 7,500 in that account, and
Which account are we talking about?
I'm sorry, it's a miscellaneous account. And
So last month, there was a
Last
discussion
month.
about the miscellaneous account.
And I think I sent all of you a detailed ledger. And I'll hear Mr. Searles, he's saying that should have been in the minutes, it should have been dispersed to the whole community. And that we might have had some issue with the Brown Act there because I just sent it to you guys. I don't know, but, I mean, I have no problem with providing that, so we can.
Right.
we can-
So Carolyn, Mr. Mendoza is discussing it right now, so the accounting for that, can you just provide that in this meeting minutes?
Sure.
On the accounting for the miscellaneous item. And again, Joe, just to clarify that this is items that are not line item described, right?
Right.
And so can you just explain them briefly, real quickly?
One of them, for instance, is uniforms, and that's part
Okay,
of the
that's right.
policy we're going to be working on to put a line item in the budget
Yep.
for uniforms and for, how many they get, how many, what type of uniforms. And basically, I purchased uniforms. And,
Yeah.
and
It was
put in-
defibrillators,
Put in
too.
that defibrillator, put that miscellaneous.
Okay, so, I mean, just to be transparent and clear, so next year, we're probably going to have a line item for possibly uniforms, right? And maybe even, I don't know if you need a line item for defibrillators, but,
The way it was phrased to both Searles and I, and we were at a committee where he brought it up, which was still weird to me, is these are not ongoing items.
yeah.
Miscellaneous, even though it could be a sizable amount of money, and that's always debatable what's sizable, defibrillators we buy every 5 years, so it's not an ongoing used entry journal in our books.
Yeah.
So all these things that aren't annualized go into this bucket. And even at the 20,000 or whatever it was, when we did the math, it was 0.00010% of our budget. So to me, it belonged in consent calendar all along where it was. But by right, he had a reason to bring it up, but I don't think we have to change the way we do accounting and journals on one-ups. Because then we're going to have a journal
Well, no.
index of 78 pages.
No, then we would just have to invite our accountant here every meeting. I mean,
That's not
the
practical.
problem last month was, there was a line item that, again, Director Searles brought up, that, Joe did not have the answer to in terms of what were those line items, right? So
Right.
you in committee, where you got those answers, you emailed them to us, and they're defibrillator, uniforms.
All
So-
one-ups.
I think there was some marketing things.
Yeah, so I don't,
Canopies, they were canopies, yes.
Simple explanation.
yeah, I don't know what else, sending it out in an email to every resident, I don't understand.
It's
You
just
just,
gonna confuse.
yeah,
Well,
just,
I think, to put an asterisk by it, I think Director Searles
want you to
was
discuss it.
requesting the information based on a resident that was in touch with him asking for the information.
Right.
So that, it's fine, we can give it up.
And it's a
It has
simple
nothing to do with it, I guess.
Simple answer.
Okay.
I just gave it to the board because
Yeah.
you asked, the board asked.
Yeah, but Director Searles isn't here. I don't know how he's in, again, I don't know what, you just said Brown Act, so I don't see how that is insinuating a Brown Act violation just because you gave us the detail of the line item in our budget, so.
It's
okay.
not a Brown Act violation.
Yeah, I'm confused how it seems like it's more dire than it is. It's just,
It can be easily clarified.
okay. Thank you, Joe. All right, member items. Director Maynard. Oh. Director Shea.
Member items?
Yep. Well, you're director items. Director items.
I don't really have any, honestly. I feel like we kind of covered all the bases here. Got all my questions answered, and
Good.
I think we're good.
Okay. All right. Who's done?
I'm done with
Okay.
my, okay.
Director Maynard.
I want to thank the CIP, or CHIP, our CHIPS, for
CHP.
coming. CHP, thank you. CHIPS. I was so
CHIP.
That was so 1970s, wasn't it? There we go.
I don't know.
I just want to thank them for actually arresting a DUI. I have zero tolerance in my book for any DUI within Rossmoor, whether it's a Rossmoor resident or anyone. Don't drink and drive. The holidays are right around the corner.
Yep.
I am going to go out and say this again. On the traffic committee, my point of view is the problem with Rossmoor is Rossmoor residents drive too fast. We need to bring it down. I wish people would make a personal commitment that whatever the speed limit is, just drive 5 miles per hour slower. That's how you get change until till 2024. And I also believe that outside of one little stretch in Rossmoor, Rossmoor does not need or require 4-lane highways. The fact that we have a 4-lane highway going right through our corridor, the fact that we even call it a corridor says there's a problem there with speed and safety. So again, hats off to our highway patrol for actually doing a DUI arrest and letting us know about that.
Yep.
So don't drink, don't drive.
Director Barkey.
Nothing to add tonight.
Okay. Joe had mentioned, I want to thank Senator Nguyen coming and putting on although the sheriffs were here, it was sort of a separate fentanyl. It's saying the same thing, but it's very, very enlightening to hear from, there were parents here that lost their child, a teenager. They're Seal Beach residents, went to Los Al schools and died from overdose. And it was, very sad. She's very courageous because she puts on these events, and so that's what we had last week. And they handed out Narcan, showed us all how to use it. So Thursday we're having another one, and the statistics are just horrible. That there's they were saying, because we had a Los Alamitos City Councilwoman here, and we had a Seal Beach Councilwoman. I think in Los Alamitos, I think there've been 20 deaths just in Los Alamitos. I mean, it's just crazy what's going on with fentanyl. So I encourage our parents, and I told the Sheriff's Department that you should reach out to the school district and encourage parents to bring their kids to it, because it's they're getting this narcotic off of Snapchat, and it's like they're buying pain medication and it's laced with fentanyl. It's just crazy. But there's just so much death and destruction to people, certainly the youngster that passes, and what an effect it has on the parents. So it was it moved me, the meeting last week, and I'm sure Thursday is going to move anybody that comes to it. It's very, very good information, and like they said at the meeting last week, you just need to talk about it. You need to talk to people, need to talk to kids, you need to talk to your kids about fentanyl and how dangerous it is. Carolyn, what's the timetable for our website?
I'm so glad you brought that up. We met with Streamline on the 9th.
Yep.
And that was the date that they had given us to have all the migration completed, and they had one more piece that they still needed to migrate over, which was the how-to
Okay.
portion of the website. Other than that, they're almost ready to go. So I
Really?
anticipate meeting with them. I think we discussed the week right after Thanksgiving,
Okay.
and then the
Is that
migration.
like a launch or going live or?
The plan is to go live, have a launch date at the end of the year. So
Okay.
by the end of December. And
Can-
I'd like to get the ad hoc committee together for the next,
So we can probably
Viewing.
Zoom that meeting, okay?
Mhm.
The-
Yes.
it's-
Yes.
Okay, great.
That's the plan.
'Cause, this is my busy season.
Yes.
So that'd be great, but it's I want to see it.
Okay.
Just stuff like what we saw, like vector control, and all this stuff we can immediately integrate now with our new website because it's so easy to do,
You want
right?
to tell them the news about how we can, I guess, put everything out at once?
not yet.
No, not yet?
Yeah, sure. Come on, give us some
Not yet.
teasers.
No,
No? You don't want to tell us that?
We had a great meeting.
Okay.
We made some
Don't give us a
we made
teaser.
some
We'll just
al-
wait.
We made some alterations, and they're very good.
Yeah.
They're very,
I just don't want to misspeak.
Okay. Well, Director Shade and I are very eager to see this.
We all are.
So, okay. All right,
Now-
Winter Festival, remember,
Fentanyl.
what's that?
No.
Fentanyl meeting next week.
Thursday.
We're still promoting, or we're going to be actively promoting what the traffic committee and the county's doing to our Montecito corridor, right, our 4-lane highway through Rossmoor. So please, take some interest in that. And, I know on our new website, we're going to have that plastered all over it. Survey's coming in January. It's a very, we don't want to get this wrong, and we want people's input. Have a great Thanksgiving, and I guess we'll see you next month. And Tarquin, I'm going to turn it to you for some of your words of wisdom.
Thank you, directors. I have no words of wisdom this evening.
Thank you, Tarquin. All right, with that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting, and then we can talk.